Good morning to you all. You all are there?
Good morning.
Good morning. Very good morning to you all. I hope you can hear what I am talking, what I am saying. You all can hear? You will have
Yes.
to... Yes.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. So again, very good morning to you all. Now, this particular session is about securities for bank lending. Now, I hope you have got your handouts. On the system, we have uploaded the handouts of this entire presentation. Can you all see the handouts on your screen? Can you all see the handouts on the screen?
No.
Handouts? We have uploaded the handouts.
Yes, sir.
Can you see the handouts?
Yes.
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 Right, very good. So at the same time, can you see my presentation also on the screen? This particular presentation, is it visible on the screen? Is this particular presentation is visible on the screen?
Yes, sir.
Right, very good. So now, this is a new experience for all of us, even for you all and for us as lecturers. Now, this is the second diploma program which we are conducting in this virtual classroom. Previous session we conducted, it was a highly successful session, and we had the exam a couple of weeks back, and I have just corrected the answer papers and I have just handed over. So my task is, in this particular session, I am going to cover securities for bank lending. And I must tell you all must respond, because I am really handicapped. There is not a single person in this classroom. Otherwise, normally we used to accommodate about 150 to 200 people here. But today, I don't have anyone, only I am here. So now when we are interacting with the students, when we have the physical interaction, there are a lot of benefits to us as lecturers. We can see your body language. We can see whether you have understood. We can ask questions. You can pose questions. But here, virtually, I am addressing an empty classroom. So you can see me, but I can't see you. So I must tell you all, if you all have any doubts, questions, please stop me and you can ask me, and I will respond. At the same time, I will be very happy if you all can, respond, because I can't see anyone here. We can't see your beautiful faces. So we are just lecturing. So if there are if I ask any questions and if I ask you to respond, you should respond. So now, in this session, as you know, all of you are bankers. I am sure most of you are maybe bankers. Are you all bankers or bankers?
Yes.
Yes, very good. So now, the securities for bank lending is an important component of credit appraisal. In the past, when we conducted the Diploma in Credit Management program, the securities for bank lending was an optional subject. So what happened? The students were given the choice. If they want, they can skip this particular session, and they were given 4 or 5 choices. So what happened? Some of the students skipped securities, and they have been answering other questions. So later on, the IBSL felt most of the students, even though they have got the diploma in credit management, they lack knowledge in securities. So we had a meeting last year, and with the IBSL management, and it was decided to make this subject compulsory. So whether you like it or not, securities for bank lending is a mandatory subject which you have to answer. So now, last time we have made the Diploma in Credit Management program exam full day, part 1 and part 2. So morning 3 hours, evening 3 hours. Thereby, securities for bank lending is an important subject, because if you don't know the mitigation techniques of securities, you cannot call yourself a expert in credit appraisal. So that is the reason why the management, IBSL management has decided to make this subject a compulsory subject. So you will know the weightage given to this particular subject. Now in our banking life, we are come across people. Some say they are experts in credit, but if you ask a basic question on securities, they lack. So when we are giving a diploma in credit management, it is a full-fledged diploma. It should carry, it covers the important components of credit management. So security is an important topic. So now I must also tell you all, unlike in the previous sessions, in the sense previous session prior to the corona, we conducted sessions. Students used to come, we ask questions, they ask questions, that was the end. But here, you have the luxury, because all what I say today, the entire program will be available to you in YouTube. I think IBSL will share the password. So you can over and over again, you can go through the handouts, you can go through my presentations to clear your doubt. So last exam, it was a very easy paper. I must tell you all, last exam was a very easy paper because I have set the paper, take into consideration the difficulties encountered by the students, and I told the students, please go through the slides very carefully because the questions will be set from my presentation. I will not go out of that. So most of the students answered very well, but there were some students who had not taken this very seriously. So all the luxury, although this particular luxury was available to them, they have not utilized this facility. So I must tell you all, you have this luxury now. This entire presentation, there will be 4 sessions. Entire presentation will be available to you in YouTube. I think IBSL may have given you the password, so you can over and over you can go through this before the exam. So in this particular session, now this is the course content. You can see this slide on your screen. Course contents. Can you all see?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. This is the course contents. Now, in this particular session, now I'm going to conduct 4 sessions. There will be 4 Sundays because I need 4 Sundays to complete this session. So in this particular session, I am going to cover various types of securities acceptable to the banks as security for lending, the operational aspects of such securities, the management and monitoring aspects of securities, mitigation of risk, enforceability of such securities, insurance compliance. So these are the major components of this particular session. So you don't have to worry. I have designed my session in a way you will understand. So you don't have to worry. So only thing is you have to fully concentrate on this particular session. Now, just to give a brief introduction about myself, I don't know how many of you all heard about me. My name is Rajanathan, MCV Rajanathan. I started my banking career with HNB, and thereafter on retirement, I have moved to Pan Asia Bank. I was a head of credit administration at Pan Asia. I worked there for 4.5 years. And then thereafter, I went to Union Bank. I was a head of credit administration and recoveries at Union Bank for 1.5 years. Then thereafter, I moved to Amana Bank, which was a new bank. I was a head of credit administration at Amana Bank for nearly 4 years. Then thereafter, I worked at Cargill's Bank. I was a head of training and development at Cargill's Bank. I worked there for 4 years. So now I am free of all those responsibilities. Now I am I am not attached to any bank. So I have conducted numerous sessions on this particular subject at various banks and IBSL and also central bank. And I have also released a book on securities for bank lending. That book is available at the IBSL bookshop. That book is available. If you are interested, you can purchase that book. But I must tell you all, all sales proceeds of that particular book goes to the Sri Lanka Cancer Society, not to me. Money doesn't come to me. The book is 1,000 rupees. I'm not doing a marketing campaign here, but I'm just telling you all because the title of the book is Securities for Bank Lending with an Insight to Life and Times of a Banker. It is priced at 1,000 rupees, reasonably priced. So we, in other words, it's something like a syllabus, textbook, this particular publication. So if you are purchasing that book for 1,000 rupees, remember the 1,000 rupees does not come to me. It goes straight to Sri Lanka Cancer Society. So now we will move on to the session, story-based learning. In my session, story-based learning is the most powerful way of imparting knowledge. Now, in the United States, they have found story-based learning is the most successful mode of teaching. True scenario that has taken place. Tell enough stories and the learning will remain in your heart. You may forget the learning, but the story will remain forever. That is the uniqueness of this program. You will hear a lot of stories, true stories in relation to the topic, which will be immensely beneficial to you. Now, in my program, I don't want to talk about the technical aspects and make this session a boring session. Because as you know, when you say securities itself, for some people, you may find it boring. But I have designed this session to make it very interesting for you all, because I have connected several stories in relation to the topic which we have come across during our 46 years of banking exposure. I have nearly 46 years of banking experience. I joined HNB straight from school. At the time, HNB was not even known. It was not even known as At National Bank. There had only 4 branches when I joined. So you could just imagine the wealth of experience I possess and the various type of personalities, episodes which we have come across in our banking life. Thankfully, out of these 46 years, I may have spent about 25 years in credit, and mainly particularly in the field of credit administration. So the session will be very interesting. So only thing is you will have to fully concentrate, but don't feel shy to stop me and ask any questions, because as lecturers, we'll be happy if you all ask questions. Then credit delivery, backbone of banking. Now, credit delivery. Now, see, we have uploaded the handout. In the handout, you may not find all the slides in the handout, because I have only summarized and given you the important slides, because this particular slide presentation runs to about 175 slides. So there's no point in printing all 175 slides. So I have given only the slides which are important for you in the handout. So you may find some of the slides may not reflect there, but you don't have to worry. So credit delivery, backbone of banking. I don't have to tell you all, as most of you all are bankers, credit delivery is considered to be the backbone of banking. Without credit delivery, banks cannot operate with profitability. The work connected to all aspects of credit and credit operations could be considered as a double-edged sword. It could either create stability or instability in banks and financial institutions. In other words, it could either make or break banks and financial institutions. It is the bread and butter of the bank. Now, credit risk and its effective management. What do you mean by credit risk? Credit risk is a default of capital plus interest by the borrowers of the bank, which could contribute towards loss of income and reduction in the value of assets, which will greatly affect the profitability of the bank. Reliability and enforceability of the securities have to be constantly ascertained to minimize this risk. Effective and legally enforceable securities should be obtained to minimize the risk. Now, as bankers, you all should understand, we may get into an unexpected, unforeseen calamity. So now, the present situation is a very good example. Now, this year, when we started our new year, nobody would have even dreamt the country will undergo this type of calamity. It has not only affected Sri Lanka, it has affected the entire global community. United States, they are number one. About close upon 10 million people have been infected with this COVID-19. Second comes India. Yesterday, I was listening to the news last night. One of the Indian channels, they were telling yesterday itself, they have detected 19,000 COVID-19 patients cases in India yesterday. 19,000. So you could see now there are A lot of people have been affected in addition to the bankers. A lot of people have been affected. 5 million people, close upon 5 million people, inclusive of their dependents, they have been affected. Why? Because they are daily wage earners, three-wheel operators, school van operators, food suppliers, then people who are in the travel, tourism, hotel industry, all completely gone. So as bankers, we had to be mindful because the calamity will strike at any moment. So that's the reason why the security plays a major role in the appraisal of credit facility. Because when you are appraising a credit facility, you appraise a credit facility, at the same time, you should know how to secure the facility. What are the types of securities available? On every security what we take, there is an element of risk. How do we mitigate this risk? How do we mitigate the risk? This is very important. So all these aspects will be explained to you all. Now, reliability and enforceability of the securities have to be constantly ascertained. Now, even now, as we face this crisis, I am sure most of the bankers are worried. Why? Because they are not in a position to recover their liabilities, because they have been instructed by the central bank to extend the repayment program. So if it comes to worse, the banks will have to realize the security. If there are securities, they may have to enforce the security to realize their exposure. So on every advance, there is an element of risk. So when we are taking securities, reliability and enforceability of securities have to be constantly ascertained to minimize this risk. Effective and legally enforceable security should be obtained to minimize the risk. The last stipulation is very important. Effective and legally enforceable security should be obtained to minimize the risk. You can't just take security. You have to ensure the securities what you take are effective and it could be legally enforced in case of an eventuality. Now, I want you all to have a look at this particular slide. Can you see this particular slide? Can you see this? Is it clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Right. Very good. Now, this is also the first story which I am going to narrate to you all. Some time ago, some years back, the bank where I was attached to nominated me to attend a seminar on credit risk. Have a closer look at this particular slide. And, there were about 50 people who have been nominated by various banks to participate at this seminar, which was, the topic was credit risk. It was held in a 5-star hotel. It was a half-a-day session. So the bank where I was attached to, the CEO nominated me because he said, you are the head of credit administration. I think you attend this program. So I attended this program. There were about 50 people in one of the 5-star hotels. We all were seated. So just before the session commenced, the moderator welcomed us and introduced us to a veteran banker, an elderly gentleman. I don't want to mention his name. An old gentleman who may have passed his 75 years. He was invited to give a keynote address. So they welcomed the participants and they said, now we invite Mr. So-and-so, who has been invited by us to give the keynote address. So all of us were looking up. So this gentleman walked up to the podium and he said, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This particular program is about credit risk. And he said, today crossing the Gall Road in Colombo is the biggest risk in the world, he said. Today crossing the Gall Road in Colombo is the biggest risk in the world. So we were all taken back and we were wondering, what is this man talking? So we were wondering whether we have come for a traffic lesson, because we have come for a credit program on credit risk. He's talking about the Gall Road and he was telling crossing the Gall Road in Colombo is the biggest risk in the world. Then he said, if you are a careful person, And if you are at Gall Road and if you want to cross to the other side, you will wait and look at the color lights. And when light turns to green, you will cross the road. Then he was telling, even though you cross on the green light, your life is not guaranteed, because you could still be knocked off by a maniac. Because there are several accidents which have occurred. People, even though they cross on the green light, they have been accident. I know, personally, I know a couple of people who died while crossing on the pedestrian crossing. Then he said, if you are a careless person, you are not bothered to look at the color light. You are not going to look at the color light. You will just cross. As you could see, these two people are crossing. You are not looking at the color light. You just cross. By crossing, you are putting your life at a major risk, but you may succeed. You may succeed, but you are taking a risk. Then he said the third category, even though the green light is on, you will not cross. You will wait and cross as a group with 4 or 5 people. Then your life is guaranteed to some extent, because the prospective oncoming motorists may not miss the group crossing the road. So he said, I belong to the third category. Whenever I want to cross at the Gall Road, I wait at the color lights. Even though the green light is on, I don't cross. I wait. At least 3-4 people get collected. I cross with them. Then my life is, to some extent, it is guaranteed. Then what is the message he was trying to give us? He was telling you all are people who are engaged in credit risk, credit appraisal. Every time when you are appraising a credit facility, put yourself as a person who is crossing the Gall Road in Colombo. A very valuable advice given by this veteran banker. Look at the circular instructions. Look at all sides, whether you have adhered to all the stipulations, whether you have taken the appropriate security. Because why? Your mandate is to ensure the safety of your exposure, like crossing the Gall Road in Colombo. Your mandate is to ensure the safety of your life. So you have to look at all sides, all precautions. You have to go the extra mile. Don't just cross just because the green light is on. Cross with the group, then your life is assured. So this is a very good message. I have shared this at various forums. In fact, this particular image appeared in the Sunday Times newspaper. And when I saw this some years back, when I saw this, I thought this will be a very good image to make my session stronger. Then I have put this so that you could see from here. These two are also, they are crossing the Gall Road. I don't know, Gall Road or wherever, I don't know where the location. You could see the, from the picture itself, because Sunday Times published this. The Sunday Times journalists may have captured these three crossing the road. They have they don't care for the color lights. They are haphazardly, they are crossing. And many years ago, when I showed this presentation in one of the IBSL classes, we had about 150 people. There were 2 students who were in the audience. They looked at this particular slide and they were talking, whispering something to each other and smiling. Then I went and asked them, why, what is the problem? Any problem? Then they said, no, sir. I said, no, tell me what is. Then they said, no, sir, these 2 are from our bank. So these 2 are bankers. So later they gave me the name of the bank also. I don't want to divulge the name of the bank. So there, some of my students said these 2 are crossing the road or happen to be bankers. So this is a very good advice which I am sharing with you all. Now, 2 years back, you all may have heard, the former managing director of Pan Asia Bank, former managing director of Pan, he was a managing director, GM, CEO. In fact, he's the person who took me to Pan Asia Bank. He's a person, when I retired from HNB, this gentleman only called me and wanted me to take over the credit administration department of Pan Asia Bank. And this gentleman, he was staying at Ward Place after retirement. He was crossing at about 5:30, just opposite his residence. He was crossing, he was trying to go to the supermarket just across the road. While he was crossing the road, a motorist came on full speed, knocked the husband and wife, and thankfully wife survived. This gentleman, he died. After 3 or 4 days, he died. I went for the funeral. So, I don't think he would have even ever dreamt that he will face such a death, because he was totally in charge of Pan Asia Bank. He was holding all three posts, GM, CEO and MD of Pan Asia Bank. For nearly 5 years he was there. So these are good life lessons for us to know, to learn, to know. So what I'm trying to say is, since people like you all will be or are engaged in credit appraisal, remember, on every advance there is an element of risk. Now, if I can give you another good example, when we are talking about the subject of credit risk. A couple of years back, I think, yes, last year or so, the HNB's, not a couple of years back, in 1987, HNB's first managing director, Hat National Bank's first managing director, this gentleman was the Hat National Bank's first managing director. He held the post for 17 years. From 1970 to 1987, this gentleman, in fact, he was the person who interviewed and took us to the bank. He held the post for 17 years. So when he retired, because he thought it's time for him to go, although the board wanted him to remain, but he thought, no, I must now have, it's time for me to go. And he retired. When he retired, the bank gave him a gala farewell in one of the 5-star hotels. So we went we were fortunate to participate in the farewell ceremony. And at that ceremony, Mr. Riyansi Vijayathilaka, you all would have heard about him. He was the managing director who was taking over from this gentleman. So he gave a nice speech, and he brought a memento, held it up and told the audience, this memento, you will find there are 33 coins. Each coin that is to deposit that you are handing over to me a bank with 33 branches. You are handing over to me a bank, a profitable venture with 33 branches. That is the reason why we have put 33 coins. And he said, I am very thankful to you, sir, for giving me a successful venture. And he presented the, the memento. So the outgoing managing director accepted it, and he gave a speech. He spoke a lot on various topics, but one sentence he spoke still lingers in my mind. What did he say? He said, thank you very much for the recognition. And he said, I want to give you one advice to you, my successor, and all the bankers who are present here. Remember, you are handling depositors' money. Still lingers in my mind. Remember, you are handling depositors' money. If you miss the moment, he said, these are the words he used, the moment you mishandle, you'll be out of business. Remember, you are handling depositors' money. The moment you mishandle, you will be out of business. See the advice given by a veteran banker. Today, HNB has about 275 branches. Mr. Vijayathilaka, when he took over, he had 33 branches. Today, HNB is having about 275 branches. So this is the advice he gave. So this is the advice which I also want to give you all. Remember, you are handling depositors' money. The moment you mishandle, you'll be out of business. Thankfully, in Sri Lanka, not a single bank has crashed other than one savings bank. So that is the reason why banks are expending considerable amount in training people, especially on credit and credit appraisal and various aspects. So now this is just for information. There is an element of trust where a customer or depositor places on their bank to take care of their money. The bank is accountable for that money and the trust placed on it by customers. In addition, the shareholders of the bank expect a fair return, and they expect their banks to be mindful of the types of risk they take, as well as identifying the risk accurately and taking the necessary safeguard. In other words, your bank expects you to be mindful of the types of risk you take, as well as identifying the risk accurately and taking the necessary safeguards. So your bank, now, when you are if you are a credit officer, once you get the diploma in credit management, your bank, the expectations of your bank is very high, because they expect you, if you are involved in credit work, to be mindful of the types of risk you take, as well as identifying the risk accurately and taking the necessary safeguards. So you have to identify the risk. You don't have to worry. All those aspects I will explain to you all. Now, definition of security. The security is an encumbrance vested in a creditor over the property of his debtor for the purpose of securing the repayment of the debt. It is a right in the property of another which enables a person who is entitled to receive a definite value from that another, in default, if so receiving, to realize it from that. The purpose of the security is to ensure or facilitate the fulfillment or enjoyment of some right vested in its owner. Now, role of security in bank lending. Security is a hold the bank has against an advance. On every advance granted, there is an element of risk of non-payment. Security is obtained to balance such risk, as it will give greater comfort. It will enable the banker to realize its advance. However, merely taking securities do not provide the banker the protection. Now see, we always talk about security, but I must tell you all, I must confess, banks also have granted facilities without any security. So I'm going to give you another good example, narrate another simple story. At Gaul Road, there's a place at Gaul Road, Kolpiti, where there's a place where, a batkade. I call it a batkade because I can't even call it a restaurant, because it is not a posh place, but it's a clean place. It's a clean place. Most of the bankers in that area go there for lunch, breakfast. Even when we were there, we used to go there because you get a very good lunch. Very good breakfast, big crowd there, clean place, but it's not a posh place. I must confess, it's not a posh place, but we also used to go there for lunch. And they close at about 6 o'clock. They close because they don't have dinner, only breakfast and lunch. When you go there, you have no time to gossip. You have to quickly have your lunch and come out. Quickly have your breakfast and come out. One day, when I walked into that particular batkade to have my lunch, the Mudalali is always with the cash at the counter. He's a person. The Mudalali is all 8 hours. I have seen the Mudalali there. He may be taking breaks. But one day when he used to have a eye contact. Still the shop, the batkade is there. He used to have eye contact. Whenever you walk in, immediately he gives instruction to the waiters. So one day when I walked in, it was virtually full. So there was a table just in front of the Mudalali's counter. I was asked to sit. I was seated and waiting for my lunch. Within 2 minutes, they bring the lunch. There was a conversation going on with the Mudalali and another gentleman. He was talking to the Mudalali with a helmet. So I was listening to this conversation, not that I was listening, I was compelled to listen because my table was just located closer to the Mudalali's counter. So I was compelled to listen to the conversation. It transpired, this gentleman had his lunch, 125 rupees or something, for which he has tendered a 2,000 or 5,000 rupee note. Mudalali said, Magelanga Marsalina. Mudalali had change. I know he had change because for a day, they said about 500 lunch packets. But he didn't want to help this man. He said, Magelang Marsalina, do you have change? Customer said, I don't have change. Then Mudalali said, I also don't have change. Then the customer said, he's a walk-in customer, not a regular customer. I think he was not a regular customer. Then the Mudalali said, the customer said, In a Mangila Markola again, I will go out and change and come. Mudalali said, no. If you go, you will not come back. I can allow you to go. Then Mudalali went one step further. But can you all tell what is the one step further he wanted this man to comply? You are listening to the story. Mudalali, this gentleman said, I will go out and change and come. Mudalali was not willing to part with this man. He said, if you go, I giyanang inne. But he was prepared to release him, provided he comply with one condition imposed by the Mudalali. What is the condition? We'll see any smart people here. What is the condition? Think about it. Mudalali imposed a condition, like bankers imposing a condition. He imposed a condition on this gentleman. What do you all think? I will go back to the story again. This gentleman who walked in, he was having a helmet in his hand. Now I have given a clue. So what is the condition?
Keep your helmet and go.
Very good. Excellent. Mudalali told, keep the helmet and go. Mudalali said, keep the helmet and go. Because oya giyanang enne oya helmet එක තියලා යන්න. So this gentleman said, if I keep the helmet and go, how can I go? I have to go in the motorcycle. I can't go without a helmet. He said, I don't know. You keep the helmet and go. See, just imagine the Mudalali's thinking. Because he thought, this particular gentleman was not a regular customer, he thought if this man disappears, if he has a helmet, he would have sold the helmet and made a profit out of it. But ultimately, there was a deadlock. This customer couldn't go. Mudalali was not willing to release him. You can't argue with the Mudalali because he was a tough character. Then ultimately, this gentleman was able to change the money because there were so many bankers who were coming. And he was able to change and matter settled. That was the end of the story. The story continues in a different way. After about a couple of weeks' time, one day I went for my lunch. And as you know, as you all are bankers, sometimes we go at about 2:30, 3 o'clock. Sometimes we forget our lunch also. We just look at the time, it's 2:30, then we rush. So I rushed to this particular Badkade to have my lunch. As I went there, I was treated and they brought the lunch. While having my lunch only, I realized that I have not brought my wallet, purse. I have not brought my purse, but anyway, still I continued with my lunch. Finished my lunch and went and told the Mudalali, Mudalali, mama purse එක ගෙනාවනේ. What do you think the Mudalali would have told me? I didn't have a helmet. What do you think the Mudalali would have told me?
Because you are a regular customer, he may say, okay, no problem, just come
Right.
back and give me cash.
Very good. Very good. So Mudalali told, you are a regular, since I am a regular customer, Mudalali said, "Nෑ, මතය කමක් නෑ, ඒක පස්සේ ගන්න පුළුවන්." So then I went back to the bank. Evening before I left, I came back and settled the money, settled the lunch money. So these two episodes, why I am narrating this, is very good example because these are life experience which we have learned. Bankers always do not insist on security. Now here, you may come across such situations in your banking career. In our banking career, we have come across such episodes. We have used strong words to recommend some good customers, even though they didn't have adequate security. We have used all the good words available in the Oxford Dictionary to make it a stronger case and to convince the management to grant the loan. Why? Because we had absolute confidence in the customer's ability to repay the loan. So remember, you may come across a situation. We don't want to get securities for every advance, but at the same time, when we are taking security, we have to ensure the security what we take is enforceable, could be realized in case of an eventuality. So you may come across in your banking life, always people think that, you had to get security. No, security is not necessary. If you have absolute confidence in the customer's ability to repay, now today you can see, all of you all may have come across situation, banks are granting millions of facilities to professionals without any security. But if a small time person walks into the bank, they don't want to grant him a loan. Why? Because they can't rely on him. But if a professional walks into the bank, 15 million or 20 million, they are granting without any security, they are giving the loan. Why? Because they have absolute confidence. So remember, these two episodes, it's an eye-opener for you all. In your banking life, you may come across situations like this. If you are 100% sure of the customer's ability to repay the loan, if you are 100% sure this customer will not let you down, you can strongly recommend to waive off the security. And then you have to look into you have to do a risk analysis and see in case the customer dies or in case something happens. All those factors have to take into consideration. But these two, now this uneducated Mudalali, just imagine his thinking. He wanted that gentleman to keep the helmet and go. He was not willing to release him. He was standing and looking at the Mudalali and waiting. He said, no, where Gyana in there? Helmet එක තියලා යන්න. But if he has kept the helmet and gone, Mudalali would have made a profit out of it. So bankers, we are also taking helmets as security, but we are taking in a more dignified and refined way. We are not asking the customer keep the helmet and go, but we are doing it in a dignified way, which will be explained to you all. So remember, this is just a episode which I have shared with you all, because sometimes bankers you all may be under the impression for every advance we have to take a security. No, you can, if you are 100% sure. Today banks are now, if you ask me, I can tell you all, we have granted billions, not million, billions of rupees to customers, corporate customers, without any security. Without any security, banks have granted. Why? On absolute trust. Right. Now, what do we mean by the word security? When you say security, which is commonly used in banking, especially in credit appraisal and other connected areas, is said to be derived from the Latin word securitas, that is secure, safe, free from care. If you take security, your advance is safe. Now, if the principle of lending justify the assistance of a customer, then the security will be obtained as a form of insurance against an unforeseen development. Now, importance of updating the knowledge bank. Now, I have been stressing the importance of updating the knowledge bank. As bankers, I must tell you all, today we are living in an environment where people don't even update their knowledge bank. They don't read the newspapers. They don't read the newspaper. I'm not telling you have to go and buy the newspaper from the paper stand. You have the smartphone. I'm sure all of you all will be having the smartphone. As a prayer daily, every morning, you must go through the newspapers in the sense from your smartphone, go through it and update your knowledge bank. Because you should know what is happening around you, locally as well as globally, to take appropriate credit decision. Towards arriving at a sound, satisfactory and acceptable decision, a banker should possess certain important aspects. What are they? Knowledge in all important aspects of securities, its marketability, risk involved and its operation. Determine the quality of good security with minimal risk. Understanding the benefits in accepting good securities towards meeting any eventuality. Knowledge in securing an advance and setting the security appropriately to face any eventuality which could arise due to non-payment default. Now, sometime back, in a particular bank, they have recruited about 35 people as trainee banking assistants. So I was, they have to undergo a training program. So induction program, then I was asked to address them. So I conducted a session for them, 35 bankers, 35 trainee banking assistants. 50% of them had degrees, and there were a couple of MBAs, a couple of people with MBA also, and most of the people, 50% with degrees. So they were there for the induction program. So I started the program. I asked them, how many of you all read the newspapers? Do you all update your knowledge? They said yes. Then I asked them, I'm going to ask a simple question. Let me see how many of you are able to answer. I asked, Who is the governor of central bank? Just imagine, out of the 35 people, not a single person could answer. Not a single person could answer. Degree holders. There were 2 MBA holders. Joined a bank, embarked on a banking career. They have no idea about the central bank's governor. But I kept on pressing them. I kept on pressing them and asked them, you all don't know the governor of central bank? Then they were looking. I said, no, you all, without knowing the governor of central bank, how can you embark on a banking career? Then one boy put his hand up. I said, yes, can you tell me who the governor? He mentioned the name of the previous governor, former governor. He mentioned the name of the former governor. He said, I said, no, he's not the governor. Yeah, Gila. Then what happened? On the slide, I showed the picture of the governor, Dr. Indrajit Kumarasamy, former governor. So every newspaper, when you take Dr. Indrajit Kumarasamy, former governor, every newspaper at that time, it was there. So on my slide, I put Dr. Indrajit Kumarasamy's image, because I happened to present my book to Dr. Indrajit Kumarasamy, so there was a picture. I put that. Then they said, nice. They were looking up. So this is what I am trying to say. Later, I told the managing director of the bank, I said, 35 people have been recruited. I told the head of HR also, when you are recruiting people, ensure that you ask some general knowledge questions. Do you all ask general knowledge questions? And I said, now out of 35 people, not a single person could answer. Not a single person knew the governor of central bank. So what I'm trying to say is, knowledge in all, because today we are working in an environment. I have seen in some of the banks where I was attached to newspapers. All piled up. They are not even opened the newspapers. Newspapers are all piled up. They are not even opened the newspapers. So this is also a textbook. Every day you are getting new things will come into your knowledge bank. Because when you are a credit officer, you should know, when you are a manager of a bank, a credit officer, you should know the environment, what is happening in the environment. In my case, of course, I must tell you all, I must confess, from childhood, I have been reading the newspapers. This is a habit which my father taught me. I don't miss a newspaper. If I am out of the country, even prior to the introduction of this internet and all, there are times I was out. All the newspapers were collected, and when I come back home, I used to update my knowledge bank. So updating your knowledge bank is very important. I am not telling you all to go and buy the newspaper from the paper stand. There are various websites. I think there's another good website. If you have the time, you can write it. Info Lanka. INFO LANKA. Info Lanka. All the newspapers are there. They are summarized. You don't have to go deep into they are summarized and given you. And if you have missed yesterday's newspaper, it is there. If you have missed August, newspapers published in August, that is also there. Daily you must go through this and update your knowledge bank so that you can counter when people come in. I have seen sometimes people, they read the headlines. They don't read the entire contents. So we read the entire contents, and some people in a social gathering, they read they come out and with various things after reading the what you call headline readers. So then we have to tell them, no, this is wrong. This is not the case. So you have to update your knowledge bank, because that is very, very important in your credit appraisal. Update your knowledge bank, because unlike during our time, you all are blessed with all the luxury. From your smartphone, you can read the newspaper. You don't have to go and buy the newspaper. Everything is free. So daily, before you start your work, importance of updating the knowledge bank. That is very important. Determining the suitability of security factors to be considered. Now, their last exam, there was a question on this. We will share the question paper. Last exam, there was a question on this. determining the suitability of security factors to be considered. Match the proposed security with the type ranking of the proposed borrower. Match the security with the anticipated period of risk repayment of the facility. Assess the value and enforceability of the security to overcome any eventuality which may arise due to various factors resulting in the non-payment of the advance. So these are the three important elements which we have to look into it, adhere to it prior to the acceptance of any security. Now see, take for instance, match the proposed security with the type ranking of the proposed borrower, match the security with the anticipated period of risk repayment. Take for instance, I come to a bank and ask for a loan to be repaid within a period of 10 years. So you may ask for a security. Now, let us assume that you want security for this. If I give my car to secure a loan to be repaid in 10 years, will you accept my vehicle as security? Will you accept? Yes or no? You don't have to worry because, you know, I'm not going to humiliate anyone. You all are students learning. So if I come to a bank for a loan, say as security, and the loan to be repaid within 10 years, 2020, repayment will go up to 2030. So as security, you are asking for security. I said, I have a car, I have a Toyota car. Can I give my car as security? Will you take it? Will you take it? Will you take the car as security for a loan to be repaid in 10 years? Yes or no? You all are there, no? Yes or no? Will you take my car for a loan to be repaid within a period of 10 years? Yes or no? You all are there? You don't have to worry. Whatever comes to your mind, you can tell me. Whether you will accept the motor vehicle for a loan to be repaid within a period of 10 years. Yes or no?
No, sir.
Yes, very good. No, you will not accept. Why? Because motor vehicle will depreciate. The value will depreciate. Motor vehicle the value will depreciate. So you will not, obviously you will not accept the motor vehicle as security for a loan to be repaid within 10 years. So that's why I'm saying when you are taking a security, you have to ensure your responsibility to ensure that particular motor vehicle will remain intact until at the same condition until the loan is repaid within a period of 10 years. As far as motor vehicle is concerned, that will not happen because motor vehicle value will depreciate. Day by day, the value will depreciate. So remember, that is the most important component which you have to remember. You have to match the security with the anticipated period of risk repayment of the facility. Assess the value and enforceability of security to overcome any eventuality. You have to ensure the value. Now today, if the value is 10 million of a house or whatever it is, supposing if I am giving a house as security, a land as security, and if the land value is 10 million today, you have to ensure that 10 million value remains intact until the loan is settled in 2030. Today I have taken a loan for which I have given my property. You are taking a valuation. Value says is 10 million value. So you have to ensure this 10 million value will remain intact until the settlement of the loan in 2030. So these are the important components which you have to ensure when you are determining the suitability of security factors to be considered. There was a question on this last exam. There was a question. Then role of a branch manager, credit officer. Now, as you all know, if you are a branch manager or a credit officer, your responsibility is to implement the bank's credit policy. Hence, you should be equipped with all the essential ingredients, inclusive of the various important aspects of securities management, operation, and mitigation of risk towards making the correct and appropriate decision in safeguarding the interest of the institution. Your main concern should not only the profitability of the bank, the safety of the advance, which is paramount. This is your responsibility commences from the point of the facility being appraised and will conclude only after it is fully repaid. Now, if you are a credit officer, if you are a branch manager, instrumental in granting a facility, your responsibility commences from the point of the facility being appraised and it will conclude only after it is fully repaid. Now, if you approved a loan and if the facility goes bad, the management of the bank has every right to seek your assistance or seek your explanation why this facility has gone bad. It has happened in some of the banks. Managers have been removed overnight. Credit officers have been removed overnight. Why? Because they have not done their homework properly. They are not appraised the facility properly. So your responsibility commences from the point of the facility. You can't wash your hands once the loan is approved. You grant the loan. So, Mama loan ek dila ivarai. Now my response is over. No, till the loan is settled, you have an obligation. Then your role is to implement the bank's credit policy. Now, if you are a credit officer, if you have been entrusted with the responsibility of the delivering credit or appraising credit, the first thing you must ask your management is, can I see the bank's credit policy? In one of the training programs I conducted in a particular bank, credit officers, I asked the question from them. All the people who were there present at the particular session, they were credit officers from various branches. And I asked them, have you all seen your bank's credit policy? Only 5 or 6 people put their hands and said they have seen their bank's credit policy. Others, they said, no, they have not seen the bank's credit policy. Then I asked them, without knowing your bank's credit policy, how can you execute the responsibility entrusted to you in credit? How can you entrust the responsibility entrusted to you in delivering credit? So the main thing is, whenever you are assigned the responsibility of credit, you have a right to ask for your bank's credit policy, because the credit policy of your bank or financial institution will vary from the credit policy of another bank. The bank's credit policy will vary. So the first thing you have to ask is, you have to ask for your bank's credit policy. Then now we are coming to the important session. Different types of securities. Generally, now before I move into this, is it clear what I told you all up to now? Is it clear? Was it clear? Was it clear what I explained to you all?
Yes, sir.
Yes, very good. Nice to hear your voices, because when we hear from you all only, we are inspired. Otherwise, we will be, because since, as I told you at the very outset, I can, I can tell you all, not a single person is here. There are about 200 chairs. Not a single person is here. So you all must speak. Now we are coming to the important aspects of securities. Different types of securities generally accepted by the banks. Now, can you all see this particular slide? Can you all see?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can you all see my face?
Yes.
Right. Very
Yes,
good.
sir.
So now, different types of security generally accepted by the bank. Now, these are the securities generally accepted by your banks, wherever you are attached to, bank or finance company or whatever, wherever you are attached to. These are the securities authorized by the central bank, authorized by your bank according to the credit policy towards acceptance. So in other words, you could consider this as your menu card, because this is your menu. So you should know these, what are the risks involved. Now say when you are going to have a lunch or dinner, you walk into a restaurant, first thing they come and give you is a menu card. So then you select an item and then you ask the waiter, make one portion is enough for how many people? So the waiter says, no, I don't know, means then, the waiter doesn't know, he has no insight to the menu. So similarly, you as a banker also should know your menu and the risk involved in this particular security. On every security which is listed here, there is an element of risk. If a customer walks into a bank, you are authorized to take any of these securities. But out of these securities listed here, bankers always prefer one particular security. What is it? Can you all tell me? Out of all the securities listed here, you have a preference. You as a banker, you have a preference. Like when you go to a restaurant, when we give the menu card is given, we have a preference. Because we say, no, Kamakne, we want this one. So like that, in this menu card, you as a banker, you have a preference. These are the securities you are authorized to accept, but you have a liking, a desire to go for one particular security. Can you all tell me what it is? Oh, sorry? Yes, cash. Yes, cash is also okay. Yes, you are correct. Cash is the security you will like, because cash, of course, there is no risk. But apart from cash, if I have cash, there is no time for me to. There's no necessity for me to waste my time. But cash is, as you correctly said, cash you like. Apart from cash, what is the other one? What is the most preferred security by a banker?
Immovable property.
Very good. Immovable property. Bankers always like immovable property. Our preference is immovable. Like go to a restaurant, your preference is fried rice or fried noodles. Like that, you always want immovable property. You always want immovable property. Why do you want immovable property? Why do you want immovable property? Because when you say immovable property, there are various benefits available to immovable property. There was a question on immovable property also last time or previous time. There was a question on immovable property. You are immovable. Now, we will be spending considerable time on this particular security, immovable property, because it is a, as you correctly said, we like immovable property. We like immovable property. Not that we like, not only we like, we prefer immovable property, because as bankers, we have a variety of benefits if we take immovable property. I will explain to you all later. Now, how do we secure an asset as security? Now, when you are taking a asset as security, this is a very important slide. Well, all the slides are important, but this is very, very important in the sense, when you are taking a security, first thing you have to do is you have to ensure the title, clearance and ownership. If I come and give my car as security, you have to find out whether I am the owner of this motor vehicle. If I am giving a stocks, if I am giving property, if I am giving a house or whatever it is, first you have to find out whether I am the real owner. Now that particular Mudalali about whom I spoke to you at the very outset, he was not bothered to ask this customer, "May helmet ek oya geda? Koi the gatte? Kawada the gatte? Receipt ek tino?" No, he was not bothered. He simply said, "Keep the helmet and go." But as bankers, we can't do that. As bankers, we can't do it. He can do it. The Mudalali can do it, but we can't do it. We have to find out whether he is the real owner of this helmet. We will ask this customer, "May helmet ek oya geda? Oh, mage tamai. Do we have the receipt, invoices to prove the ownership?" And just taking helmet as an example, he will say yes. Can we see that receipt? Then we will, once we are satisfied that, we will go to the next step, valuation. Now here, he was trying to recover 125 rupees. Whether he could recover that 125 rupees by disposing this helmet in case of eventuality. So we will find out the value of the helmet in the market. What is the value of this helmet? So we will find out from people who are engaged in the business of selling helmets. We have a helmet, brand is this, second-hand helmet. What is the value? Then they say, yes, you can sell it for 2,000 or whatever it is. Once we are satisfied with these two aspects only, we go for mortgage. If you are not, without adhering to these two principles, if you go for mortgage, then we are putting the advance, your exposure in a greater risk. So remember, whenever you are taking a security, I just took the helmet as an example. It could be a vehicle, it could be a stocks, it could be wristwatches, it could be property. You have to comply with these two stipulations. Title, ownership, valuation clearance. Balandara, that Mudalali was not interested to find out. No, we can't do it. We have to find out. So how do we find out? You don't have to worry. That will be explained to you in detail. That will be explained to you all in detail. So once you are satisfied with these two aspects, if I come to your bank saying I am the owner of the car, I have to satisfy you by providing documentary evidence to confirm that I am the owner of this car. Then I have to submit valuation from a reputed valuer, confirming the value of my motor vehicle. Once these two aspects have been satisfied, only you will go for mortgage. Now, creation of charges. Now, there's a question on this last exam. There was a question on this. Over and over, I have explained to this, but still some people failed in this particular. It was there, the handout was there, presentation was there, but still, it has not gone in. There were many charges. There was a question, how do name 3 ways in which bank obtain security? These are the charges. Lien, pledge and mortgage. But 75% of the people correctly answered, but 25% of the people couldn't answer that. Couldn't answer it because they were telling about the bank charges and stamp duty and all those things. So the question was, name 3 ways in which bank creates charges. These are the ways. Lien, pledge and mortgage. When we are taking securities, we create a charge over that particular security. When you are taking security, we create a charge over that particular security by way of lien, pledge and mortgage. So if there's a question, I don't think that question will again come, but we may ask the question in a different way. So creation of charges, these are the 3 ways in which bank creates charges: lien, pledge and mortgage. However, none of the above charges entitle the bank to have the absolute title to the asset on which such charges are created. We are creating charges, but the ownership will remain with the customer. We are not transferring the ownership. You have to remember that we are only creating a simple charge over that particular asset, temporary charge, until the facility is settled in full. We are not changing the ownership. Then lien. A lien is defined as a legal charge created over a deposit. However, the depositor will remain as the owner of the deposit on which a lien has been created. The bank only creates a temporary legal charge over the deposit as security. So lien means if I have a fixed deposit, if I have a savings account, or if I have certificate of deposit, if I want to take a facility against that, you create a charge over that particular deposit. That is what is called lien. That is what is called lien. We are creating a charge over that deposit. Your mother is having a deposit. Your wife or husband is having a deposit. So you are taking a loan against that particular deposit. So we have to create a charge over that particular deposit, and the charge has to be signed. The letter set off, what you call letter set off, has to be signed by the deposit holder. That is what is called lien. So remember, when you say lien, I'm sure most of you all will know, but for the benefit of the people who have not had the opportunity of working in credit, when you say lien, whenever we are taking a deposit as security, we create a charge over that particular deposit. The charge is defined as lien. Then what do you mean by pledge? In a pledge, the banker is, now there was a question on this also. In the last exam, there was a question on this. In a pledge, the banker is entitled to have its exclusive possession until the debt is settled and has the power to dispose the pledged asset, although the ownership is vested with the pledger. An asset under pledge could be disposed of without the intervention of courts, provided it does not contravene the terms of agreement. What do you mean by pledge? Now, I put a question in the last exam. These question papers were set by me, I must tell you all. 20 marks are given to the question on securities. The question on securities. If you answer well, you are guaranteed 20 marks. I have corrected the paper. I have come and given it this morning. I know I have seen some people have done very well, and I have even made a comment very good. So if you answer very well, you get 20 marks is guaranteed to you. I will tell you all. I am not looking at the grammar. I'm not looking at the grammar because this is not an English exam. What I am looking is when I read the paper, because as you know, correcting the paper is a very, very difficult task. Very, very difficult task because all papers are corrected by me personally. I have to read every full stop, comma has to be written. And some people, they have written, I don't know whether they have worked in pharmacies. I may have to take it to the pharmacies to read it because you can't even read it. But still I made an attempt to read it, very difficult to read it. So the writing has to be very clear. But we are not looking at the grammar. Only thing is, if I as examiner, if I am convinced you have got a proper understanding of the topic, you get full marks. If you get proper understanding of the topic, you get full marks. So what do you mean by pledge? There was a question, the last exam, because last exam, the paper was very easy. It was very easy because I have taken all the problems encountered by the students, and because they didn't have the luxury of seeing the lecturer in person, but of course they had the other luxury of revisiting the presentation. So the question was, if I remember correctly, there was a question I have put, Sumit is a daily wage earner. Remember, but if I listen to this carefully, Sumit is a daily paid wage earner who has lost his job due to the recent lockdown. This particular Sumit, whom I am referring to, was a daily paid wage earner. He was working somewhere and he lost his job due to the curfew and lockdown. He didn't have any income. So while being at home, he used his knowledge. He used his knowledge to embark on some innovations. He was thinking, how can I had to keep the home fire burning. I had to feed my family. So how do I do something? Because he had lost his job. So what he did was, he used his knowledge. He made a couple of wash basins. You would have seen in most of the outlets that they have introduced these wash basins. That's also a flourishing business. Every outlet shop is required, according to the health regulation, to have a wash basin. So he used his knowledge because he has seen, when he visited some places, he has seen this wash basin. So he also thought, why not I also try? And he made some wash basins and he delivered to some of the outlets in his area. So they also bought it from him because it was at a very reasonable price. And the product also was accepted because he has used his knowledge. And then he wanted to move further. Yes, people in the area approached him and they said, we also want wash basins. So there was a big demand for this wash basin. This was in the question paper I have mentioned this. There was a big demand for wash basin. So, but he didn't have the capital. He couldn't. He made only 1 or 2 wash basin using his money. But all of a sudden, he has got a lot of orders from various people for wash basins. So, to make this wash basin, he wanted to buy raw material for which he has no money. So, what did he do? He approached a bank which is in close proximity to residence. He approached the bank and said, I have got a lot of orders for wash basin. Can you give me a loan of 1 million? No, some I can't remember the amount is 1 million. So the banker was puzzled, and banker said, how can we give a loan of 1 million? You have you don't have any security because he had no assets. I mentioned he has no asset. He has no security. You can't have security from such a person because he was finding it difficult to survive. So he said, sir, I don't have any security. You have no asset. No, I don't have any asset. If you can give me 1 million, sir, I can make this wash basin. He gave a list of raw materials. Then what happened? The bank in that area was willing to assist him, Sumit. They were willing to assist him, provided he comply with 3 or 4 requirements. What are the requirements? Number 1, they told Sumit, can you give a list of raw materials and the names of the suppliers from where you are buying these raw materials? Then he has given the details of the raw material, 1 million breakdown. He has given, I am buying from this place, 250,000, like that. He has given a list of raw material which he is buying, totaling to 1 million. He has given to the banker. You have got the list. Then you are asking this person, who are the people who are going to buy your wash basin? We are going to give you 1 million to buy raw materials. So once you complete the process, are there people willing to buy? He said, yes, sir, there are people willing to buy. How many people? There are about 25, 30 people who are willing to buy, sir. Then you will want a list of those people, confirmation from those people that they will buy the wash basin from you. You say, tell Sumit, can you go and get the confirmation from them? So he goes to the 25, 30 people from pillar to post. He goes to them and says, can you give a letter addressed to the bank saying that you all are prepared to buy the wash basin from me for this price, 50,000 or whatever it is. So he has collected. Let's come and give it to the banker. You have got the, what you call, confirmed orders. That is what is known, confirmed orders. Then once you get that, you will again recheck it. Then you tell this person, you have to get a further confirmation from them. Once the wash basins are manufactured, made and delivered to them, the sale proceeds should be credited to your account in our bank. They can't give the money to you. It should come to our bank, to the credit of your account. Our bank, it should be credited. So he goes back to the 25 people. He's prepared to go and get the confirmation from them. And he's telling the bank is asking for a letter from you all. Wash basin, once I deliver the wash basin, you all will give the proceeds, send the proceeds direct to the bank, for which he says, I have no objection. So he has got 25 further letters. They are the 25 vendors, 25 buyers have confirmed. Once the wash basins are delivered to them, they will remit the money direct to the bank, to the credit of this customer's account. You have got that. Then you are releasing 1 million. You are releasing 1 million to Sumit. Not to Sumit, to the, what you call, suppliers. You are releasing 1 million. Breakdown, you are 1 million worth of check. You are written the check in favor of the suppliers. Not to the Sumit. Not to Sumit. Check written in favor, I can't pay check, favor of the suppliers. You are given. So he says, he collects the check and he said, then you are asking the customer, when do you think the raw material will be delivered to your residence? He says, Adanatha Heta, they will deliver it. So then you keep on, you are monitoring it because strictly under supervision you are granting this loan. So you are monitoring it. Then you ask Sumit in a couple of days' time, then have you got the raw material Ambunada? He said yes. Then you carry out an inspection to see whether he has actually got the raw materials. 1 million worth of raw materials he has got. It has been delivered to your residence. So in other words, that 1 million worth of raw materials is under pledge to your bank. That is what is called pledge. You have released, you have given Sumit a pledge loan. So the raw materials are under pledge to your bank. You have 1 million worth of raw materials. You are released to Sumit. He has So raw materials means the checks you have released. He had gone and given the check to the what you call supplier. He had got the raw material. So you have to carry out an inspection. Once you carry out an inspection, now in other words, you have given a pledge loan. You are given a pledge loan. So then you have to keep on carrying out inspections because this is a microfinance facility. Then periodic inspection you go and carry out. He says, sir, then I have completed 5 wash basins. So you have to ensure he delivers it. 5 wash basins, the money comes to the bank. So like that, you do it. So your advances, repayment is guaranteed. So this is just to explain the mechanism of pledge loan. In other words, we have granted Sumit a pledge loan. That is what is called pledge loan. Is it clear to you all? Is it clear? Is it clear? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
clear.
So now here in this, I am going to ask a question from you. If you adapt this particular procedure, now see in the present situation, now I am doing a paper on this also. There are thousands and thousands of people who are starving. And the government also has intervened and they wanted the banks to help people like Sumit. Because if you are a banker, if you adopt this particular procedure, guideline, see the employment which you are generating. Now, Sumit can't do the wash basin on his own. He has to employ people. So now here, if you adopt this particular procedure, your advance is secured. And if you monitor the system very carefully, procedure, the safety of your exposure is guaranteed. Because why? And this is not a long-term loan. You are granting the loan to be repaid within a period of 3 to 6 months. Because once the corona is brought under control, you can't grant a loan to be repaid in 2 years or 3 years. Because once the situation is brought under control, all the wash basins will go for 6. So that's what happened now, because when the corona first time, when we were facing this, people were complacent and most of the people were not even wearing masks. So as a result of that, now again we are back to square one. So this is a short-term loan. So once you do this, you have to strictly monitor the facility. In the sense, the work in progress has to be monitored. Every week you have to go and carry out inspection and see how far you have gone. So then I have completed 5 wash basins. Then I deliver. Money has to come because the buyers are confirmed to you, money will come. So you like that, you will recover. But here I am going to ask you another question. There is one risk here. What is the risk? There is one risk. Can you all tell what is the risk? You, as a banker, I have given you the guideline. You are following the guideline, but still there's, you are sure you are a bank manager and you say, no, I am following this guideline, so there is nothing will happen. But there is one risk. Can you all tell what is the risk? There is one risk. There is one risk. We'll see whether you are able to go that extra mile like that veteran banker said, while crossing the Gaul Road, you have to look at all sides, and even if the green light is on, you should not cross. You have to cross as a group like that. Something to that extent, there is a risk. What is the risk? You are given the raw materials. You have given the check. Raw materials have come. Is manufacturing daily or weekly you are carrying out inspection, but still for all there is a element of risk which is beyond your control. There's an element of risk which is beyond your control. What is the risk? Sorry? There is an element of risk which is beyond your control. Now you may come across these cases like Sumit. There are various people. I know there are a lot of innovations. People are doing it. When they are at home, there is nothing for them to do. So they think, how can I do something? When you are at home, you have to do something to keep the home fires burning. So not only wash basin, there are people who are manufacturing so many things, but banks are prepared to help them. But there is one element of risk. There is one element of risk. Can you all tell me what is that risk? If you think carefully, you will have the answer. One element of risk. You are the manager, you are granted the loan, but you are thinking, take a risk. There is one risk. What is the risk? Can you all tell me what is the risk?
Collateral?
Sorry?
Collateral?
No, here there is no collateral. That's why we are taking the pledge loan. It's a pledge loan we are granted. Collateral is pledge. We are given a pledge loan, but still now Sumit is doing it. But there is an element of risk in this process, which is beyond your control. Which is beyond your control. I have given you a clue, which is beyond your control. You can't. It is out of your control. What is that? Ask yourself.
If customers not buy that product,
Sorry.
if that customer buy that product,
No, that is not there because the customers have confirmed they will buy it. That risk is, we have overcome that risk because the customers have given the confirmation. That's why we call it confirmed order. Customers have given they are given the confirmation. Sorry?
Market risk.
I couldn't follow.
Market.
No, market risk also not there because why? Because 25 or 30 customer, what do you call, buyers are confirmed they will buy it. So that risk is not there. You are released the money, collateral, you have the pledge loan. The manufacturing process is on, you are carrying out inspection, you are guaranteed, your payment is guaranteed. Once the wash basin is supplied, you will get the money. But there is one risk. You know the answer. Think carefully. You all are young people. Sorry?
Natural disasters.
You have come somewhere closer. You have come somewhere closer.
If the customer dies, sir?
Excellent. Excellent. If the customer dies, excellent. Because I wanted you to come out with the answer. Thank you, miss. So now he said natural disaster, he came closer, customer dies. Because what happens if Sumit dies? Am I correct? It is beyond your control. Now, this is the risk bankers are facing when we grant loans for microfinance. So how do we overcome that risk? How can we overcome that risk? Now, you will not think, oh my God, all of a sudden, while, all of a sudden, one morning, somebody is coming and telling you, this Sumit has met his accident and died. So how do you overcome that risk? How do you overcome that risk?
mortgage protection policy.
Yes, mortgage, you can take mortgage, very good. You can take a mortgage protection policy. Very good. You can take a mortgage protection policy or a life insurance policy. Because in this case, we always recommend to go for a life insurance policy. The reason is, if you take a mortgage protection policy, the premium is very high. And in case if Sumit survives within the duration of this loan, 6 months, if Sumit survives, the premium what you have paid for the mortgage reducing policy is a waste. Am I correct? Am I correct? If say now you correctly said mortgage reducing policy, that's the correct way. You get a mortgage reducing policy. But in this case, since he's a small time entrepreneur, day to day, he's just earning a small amount of money. And if we ask him to take a mortgage reducing policy, that's the correct way you have to do it. But if you take a mortgage reducing policy, the premium will be substantial. And after the loan is settled, the premium what he has paid is waste. So what happens is, in this type of situation, we always recommend to go for a life insurance policy. If we are given a loan of 1 million to Sumit, we will tell Sumit to go for a life insurance policy, repayable in 30 years. The term to be extended up to 30 years. So in case if the customer survives after the settlement of the loan, he can continue paying the premium. But in case if he dies, while the loan is still outstanding, then we can recover it from the insurer. So in these type of microfinance facilities, we normally don't recommend mortgage reducing policy, because mortgage reducing policy is to protect the loan. Okay, we are comfortable with that, but we have to think about this particular customer's breadwinners, his dependents, because in case if he dies, the dependents also will be burdened with some problems. So if we take a life insurance cover with accidental benefits and all those things, this risk could be mitigated. So remember, in microfinance, this is the risk faced by many of the bankers. Now, recently I conducted a session for people who are involved in microfinance, not bankers. They are not bankers. It was organized by a foreign organization, and they invited me to conduct a session to the people who are involved in microfinance, because they are getting money from various foreign sources. And there are about 50 people from all over the island who participated. And I conducted the session. Actually, I conducted the session in Sinhalese. They asked me whether I could conduct the session in Sinhalese. So I could conduct sessions in all 3 languages. So then when I explained to them about this particular aspect, they all came and told me, sir, we didn't know that there is a facility like this to link the life insurance policy. They haven't, because they said this was their major concern. In case now they are granting loans to people who are involved in microfinance, various cottage industries. They said, now we also used to think, in case if this man dies, what happens? So then I explained to them the advantage in taking a life insurance policy. So most of the participants, almost everyone, appreciated. And by having lunch also, they came and sat with me and they asked me, sir, how can we take the life insurance policy? I explained to them, the life insurance policy, it could be a new policy. It could be a new policy. The policy will have no value. It will have value only in case of death. So, pledge, this is just to explain to you all, what do you mean by pledge? Now, I can give you another good example just to explain to you all what is pledge. Let us assume that I am involved in car business. I am not involved in car business, just to make it interesting. Let us assume that I am involved in car business. I am buying and I am importing cars. I walk into a bank and tell you, I want to open a LC for, say, 20 million. I want to open a LC. I have got the invoices, everything. I am importing 5 Toyota motor vehicles from Japan. 5 Toyota motor vehicles from Japan. Here, this is the invoice, everything. Can you open a LC on nil margin? So I am asking you to open the LC on nil margin. That means I don't have to block any of my money. I am simply asking you, can you please, as a favor, help me to open the LC on nil margin without blocking any of my money, just to open the LC. But then you, as a banker, you will ask, so you are importing 5 motor cars, Toyota cars. Who are the people who are going to buy it? Then I tell you, no, I have confirmed orders, ready buyers. Who are the buyers? 5 bankers, people who are working in banks, bank managers, have confirmed they will buy these motor vehicles. The moment it is cleared at Hambantota, they will buy it. Here are the orders. So you won't have any problems. The moment motor vehicle comes, I clear the motor vehicle, I can sell it to them. Then you are opening the LC. You are opening the LC on nil margin. That means I have not paid a single cent. You have taken my word, and you are, as a banker, you are also convinced that I will not have any problem in selling the vehicle, because already 5 bankers have confirmed, and you may go extra mile by checking with them. Is it true that you are going to buy the vehicle? Then they will say, yes, we have confirmed we will buy the vehicle because we place order. Once the motor vehicle is cleared, we will buy it. So you open the LC. Once a letter of credit is open, I am anxiously waiting for the shipment. And before the shipment could arrive, only 4 or 5 days more, daily I'm looking at the calendar. I got 5 days, 4 days. I was looking at the calendar every day, anxiously waiting for the arrival of the shipment. To see, all of a sudden I am getting a SMS on my phone, which says the government has increased the tariff on motor vehicles. Many of us have faced similar situation. From midnight today, government has increased the tariff on motor vehicles. As a result of that, when I did the calculation, the original price at which I was supposed to sell it to my banking friends, have gone up by another 1 million. It has gone up by another 1 million. I was expecting to sell it for 7 million or whatever, it was 6 million. Now it has gone up by another 1 million. Then I am in desperation contacting my friends, my banking friends who undertook to buy the motor vehicle. I contact them. They say, sir, we are very sorry. We cannot buy this vehicle because my staff loan is this. We can't, it exceeds our budget. So now we'll have to go for a second-hand vehicle. So they all 5 people have told, very sorry, sir, we can't buy it. I don't blame them, because that is a risk you are having when you are importing a motor vehicle. We are facing a major risk because until the vehicle arrives, we have sleepless night. Even I have imported for vehicles, my earlier vehicle when I imported, till the vehicle was cleared, I was having sleepless nights. Don't know whether the government will increase the tariff. Thankfully, nothing happened. So I got the vehicle, used it for 5 years, sold it. Then I imported my other vehicle also. Till the vehicle arrived, I took a risk. Supposing if they increase the tariff, then I won't be able to clear the vehicle. So like that, here these 5 people have washed their hands. You can't blame them. But they said, no sir, we are unable to buy it because our hands are tied, our budget is this. What happens? Then vehicles have arrived. Shipment has arrived at Hambantota. I had to clear the vehicle. So now you as a banker contacting me and saying, sir, your documents have come. Are you clearing the vehicle? I said, no, I am unable to clear it now. You ask why? Because these 5 people, they want to buy it and now they say they can't buy it because government has increased the tariff, which I never expected. So can you give me some more time? Once it is cleared, some more time, I had to find some buyers. I am going to advertise. But you as a banker will advise me, sir, we can't wait till you find a buyer because you have to clear it. Otherwise, you have to pay demurrage. If it exceeds 7 days, you have to pay additional cost to the port. So you said we can't wait till you find a buyer, sir. You have to clear it. Then what happens? You will consider granting me a loan that is called pledge loan. You will give me a loan of 20 million because LC value is 20 million, clearing charges I'll have to pay, duty and all I'll have to pay. So you are giving me a pledge loan of 20 million to clear the motor vehicles. Like that Sumit's case, here you are giving me a loan of 20 million to clear the motor vehicle, which is defined as a pledge loan. That means you are giving a loan, 20 million, pledge loan. So once the loan is given to me, what happens? The bank will assign an officer to accompany me to Hambantota. I'll have to take one of you all to Hambantota to clear the vehicle. Why? Because otherwise I just go and clear the vehicle and take the vehicle with the key. No. So you have to, bank will nominate a person, assign an officer with me. So I take that officer also at Hambantota. All 5 vehicles are released. All 5 vehicles are taken, not to the bank, taken to my residence or to a place designated by me. All 5 vehicles are taken there. You will take all 5 keys, smart key of the vehicle and the duplicate keys, you will take it. Vehicles are parked at my residence or at a place confirmed by me, designated by me. You are taking the keys and gone. Vehicles are there. So in other words, these 5 vehicles are under pledge to your bank. So you, as a banker, you are benefited. Why? You are giving me a loan of 20 million and I have to pay the 20 million and I have to pay the interest from that particular day onwards. From the clearance day, I'll have to pay because you have given me a loan of 20 million. Then now I'll have to go in search of buyers. Why? I'll have to quickly settle this loan. You have given me a loan. Then I advertised. I was able to get 2 buyers, 2 or 3 buyers. Then I come to the bank and say, sir, I was able to get 2 buyers, close upon 10 million. Then you will tell your buyer to deposit the money to account. Money is deposited, then you will recover the loan from the proceeds. You will recover part of the loan and then you will release the key. You will release the key. Out of the four or five vehicles, 2 vehicles have been sold. So the balance 3 vehicles are at my compound. So it is under pledge. So this is what is called pledge loan. So there are some documents to be taken. You would have taken the insurance. So the vehicles are under pledge to your bank. So this is what is called pledge loan. In cases like this, the bank always considers granting pledge loans. So the goods are under pledge to you. Is it clear to you all? Is it clear? Is it clear? Yes or no? Pledge loan? Is it clear? Pledge loan is clear to you all?
So, are there any specific law to govern this pledge facility?
Specific laws. Yeah,
law.
There is a document in your bank. They will have a document called pledge loan document. So the customer is supposed to sign that particular document. It's a pledge document. So in other words, he is authorizing the bank to keep the goods under pledge, and we have to register that particular pledge document at the Registrar of Lands. Those are follow-up documentation. Apart from that, yes.
What is the difference from pledge and hypothecation?
Hypothecation is different. Now, when you are granting trust loan facilities, the goods are under, it's something like hypothecation. That is different. Pledge is different. Pledge is this particular documents, particular stocks, particular consignment is under pledge to the bank. Hypothecation also, it is, especially in trust, when you are granting trust loan, we say the goods are under held under hypothecation to the bank. That means to the customer, we are granting him an import loan to clear a consignment. So once the documents are released, once the consignment is released, the customer is supposed to sell the consignment and settle the loan. So that is different. So pledge is different from trust and hypothecation of documents. So pledge, normally we take pledge loan where whenever we come across situations where the customer is in a very weak situation, like this motor vehicle customer. I put myself as a weak customer, and this Sumit. But you have to ensure that the pledge documents are signed by the customer, and it's registered at the Registrar of Lands. Then you have to get insurance because all 5 vehicles are placed there, and you have to get the insurance, not the vehicle insurance or vehicle insurance, normal stock insurance you may have to get, or a vehicle insurance, whatever it is, but it shall be assigned in favor of the bank. Is it clear to you all now? There may be a question on pledge. Last time there was a question, but we put it in a different way. Definitely there will be a question on pledge. Can I move on to the other one? Can we move?
Yes.
So, yeah. More now, next one is, now I have explained to you another 3 ways in which bank creates charges. The answer is lien, pledge, and mortgage. I have explained the lien. I have explained the pledge. Third one is mortgage. Under a mortgage, the mortgagee, that is the banker, has special interest on the property mortgage while the title and the ownership remains with the mortgager. Then lien, pledge, and mortgage. In a nutshell, it is explained. In a lien, the borrower will remain as the owner of the asset on which a lien has been created. In a pledge, the banker is entitled to have its exclusive possession until the debt is settled and has the power to settle the pledged assets, although the ownership is vested with the pledger. A lien is a mere right to retain an asset, while an asset pledge could be disposed of without the intervention of the courts provided it does not contravene the terms of agreement. Now we are coming to the next important topic, types of mortgage. Now there was a question on this mortgages also. Types of mortgages. Last exam also there was a question. Previous exam also there was a question. Types of mortgages. Now when we talk about mortgages, now see, lien, you know, pledge, I am coming back to the topic of pledge loan. Remember, pledge loan is granted only in cases where we come across the customer is in a very weak situation. In a very weak situation, we grant them a pledge loan. Now, when you talk about mortgages, when you are working in a credit environment, mortgage, this word mortgage, you will hear over and over, you will hear the word mortgage. But how many of you all go deep into the matter to find out what is a type of mortgage? There is some mortgages are called fixed mortgage, some mortgages are called floating mortgage. What do you mean by floating and fixed mortgage? When you say fixed mortgage, now before I move on, I just want to find out whether you all want a break. I don't want a break. So I can survive with water. Since you are the luxury of your residence, you may be enjoying a cup of tea. But do you want a break or can I continue? Do you all want a break?
Let's continue, sir.
Right, very good. So now, on the topic of mortgage, as bankers involved in credit work, it is very, very crucial for you all to understand. There are two types of mortgages, fixed mortgage and floating mortgage. Types of mortgages, fixed mortgage and floating mortgage. What do you mean by fixed mortgage? A fixed mortgage will secure a particular liability and will cease after the fulfillment of the obligation by the mortgagee and cannot be enforced for any further advance. Means, if I come to your bank and take a loan by mortgaging my house, let us assume that I come to your bank for a loan facility of 2 million and you have executed a mortgage over my property for 2 million, and if that particular mortgage is a fixed mortgage, that mortgage is fixed to that particular loan. So in other words, I have taken a loan from your bank, housing loan facility of 2 million to be repaid in 10 years. To be repaid in 10 years. After granting the loan, within 1 or 2 months' time, I have got some money, I have sold some land. So I come to the bank and I say, I want to settle this loan. So once I settle the loan, that mortgage also is cancelled. It becomes null and void. It cannot be used for any further advance. Remember, because why? That particular mortgage which I have executed is a fixed mortgage. It is fixed only for that particular loan. You can't use it for any further advance. So once the loan is settled, mortgage also gets cancelled. That's why we call it a fixed mortgage. A fixed mortgage secures a particular liability. Now there was a question on this also last time. Over and over we explained about this fixed mortgage, but I think a couple of people have got it confused. Couple of people, not all. Couple of people got confused, I think. I think last exam or previous exam, I can't remember. They got confused. So when you say fixed mortgage, now they cannot get confused because the entire presentation is available in YouTube. Over and over you can go through this thing. This luxury was not available for the previous students because they come for classes. After the class is over, that's the end of it. But I of course always give my mobile number and tell the students, if you all have any clarification, you can always contact me. Some people contact me. So fixed mortgage secures a particular liability and will get cancelled ceases to be in operation after the settlement of the loan, irrespective of the period. Now, I have taken a loan for 10 years. I come and settle the loan within 1 month, and the mortgage what I executed, the fixed mortgage, that gets cancelled. What do you mean by cannot be enforced for any further advance? Fixed mortgage, if there's a question, what is your understanding of a fixed mortgage? Sorry, the answer is it cannot be enforced for any further advance. But if it is a floating mortgage, what do you mean by floating mortgage? A floating mortgage will enable the bank to grant a series of advances within the specified limit of the bond, and it also permits the continuation of the advance within the limit. That means if I have, at the time of execute the mortgage, if I have executed a floating mortgage, that particular mortgage is valid until cancellation of the mortgage. Until cancellation, I have settled the loan. You are giving me a loan of 2 million to be repaid in 10 years. I settle the loan within 2 months, but still the mortgage is valid. If I want a fresh facility, you can always grant me a fresh facility by using that same mortgage. That's why that mortgage is defined as floating mortgage. The difference between floating mortgage and fixed mortgage. Now, fixed mortgage secures a particular liability and cannot be enforced. A floating mortgage will enable the bank to grant a series of advances within the specified limit of the bond, and it also permits the continuation of the advance within the limit. Now, let me ask you a simple question. You are the manager or you are the credit officer. Now, you have to execute a mortgage over a particular. I come to your bank for a loan facility. I am the customer. I come to your bank for a loan facility. So you have to execute a mortgage. So now you are informing the bank lawyer to execute a mortgage. What is a mortgage? You will ask when you are simply telling the branch lawyer or the legal officer to execute a mortgage. They come back to you and say, I have got your instructions to execute a mortgage. What is a mortgage you want me to execute? Do you want me to execute a floating mortgage or a fixed mortgage? What is the advice you will give? What is the advice you will give? You will instruct the lawyer to execute a mortgage. So, yes. What's the mortgage?
Floating.
Very good. You will advise a lawyer to execute a floating mortgage. Because as a customer, you are not going to ask me, sir, what is a loan? What is a mortgage you want? Only corporate customers, we give them a draft mortgage. Other than that, you are not going to ask me. So you will always advise the branch lawyer to execute a floating mortgage. Why? That mortgage is valid until cancellation, because you can grant the customer variety of facilities on the leeway available. When you say leeway, now if I have taken a loan of 2 million, I have settled 5 lakhs, balance outstanding is 1.5 million. If I come to your bank for a further facility, 5 lakhs or overdraft facility, you can still grant it and secure against the same mortgage. Why? That particular mortgage is a floating mortgage. So always remember, when you are instructing the branch lawyer, you have to instruct the branch lawyer to execute a floating mortgage. Floating mortgage is beneficial to the bank and also to the customer, because in case if he wants a loan, additional loan for an emergency, he need not execute a fresh mortgage. But remember, then you may ask, why is that? Then why can't we have as a general rule? Why can't we instruct the lawyer to execute a floating mortgage? We can't do that. A particular mortgage, a particular asset. Now we always take floating mortgages, but a particular asset, whether you like it or not, whenever we are taking a mortgage over a particular asset, we always take a fixed mortgage. We can't take a floating mortgage. One particular asset. Can you all tell me what it is? I could see that you all have nicely answered a lot of questions. We always want floating mortgage. When we are taking mortgages, we instruct lawyer to execute a floating mortgage. But one particular asset, we always take a fixed mortgage. Can you all name this, but identify this particular asset? Can you identify this particular asset? One particular asset. We always take a fixed mortgage.
Motor vehicle?
Very good. Excellent. Motor vehicle, remember, motor vehicle, we always take a fixed mortgage. Why? Because motor vehicle, we can't keep the motor, when you are taking a floating mortgage, the particular asset which secures under that floating mortgage also should be intact until the cancellation of the mortgage bond. Motor vehicle will not remain intact, no? Am I correct? Because depreciation value. So motor vehicle will always we always take floating mortgage, fixed mortgage. Remember, if you go to your bank and ask for a loan to buy a motor vehicle, car, the bank will take a mortgage. That mortgage is not a floating mortgage, it's a fixed mortgage. But on the contrary, I must explain to you all, if Indra Traders comes to your bank, let us assume if Indra Traders, can you all see the whiteboard here? You can't, no? You can see the whiteboard. You can't see the board here, no? I can't.
Yes, we can see, sir.
You can see?
Yeah, we can see. We got an explanation from
You can see the
last class.
The whiteboard. Can you see the whiteboard here?
Yes, sir.
Sure.
Yes. So now I want to write something. Now let us assume Indra Traders. If Indra Traders comes to your bank, can you all see here when I write here? Can you all see?
Yes.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Now Indra Traders, they come to your bank. Indra Traders is one of the leading merchants selling motor vehicles. So they come to your bank for a loan of 250 million against mortgage of motor vehicles valued at 500 million. They say we have 500 million worth of motor vehicles in our stores, in our showroom, and they have stores. They have 500 million worth of motor vehicle, Toyota, Nissan, like that, so many brands, Honda, they have 500 million, they are asking for 250 million. So here, what is the mortgage you will take? Floating or fixed? Indra Traders wants 250 million against 500 million worth of motor vehicles. What is the mortgage you will take? Floating or fixed? Think carefully, what is the mortgage you will take? Because I was telling you fixed mortgage, motor vehicle, we always take fixed mortgage. But in this instance, what is the mortgage you will take? Floating mortgage or fixed mortgage?
Floating mortgage.
Very good, very good. Floating. You will take floating mortgage because I am explaining to you all not to get confused. Why? The reason is here the 500 million worth of motor vehicles, we are taking a mortgage over the consignment of motor vehicle which will not remain the same. Today, Indra Traders has given you a stock list of 500 million worth of motor vehicle, Toyota, Nissan, Honda, like that. Next week, if you go, they will have different vehicles. But of course, they will have 500 million worth of vehicles they will have. But the vehicles will be different. Unlike a personal loan. If you are a personal loan, you are Toyota car you are having. So you are going to take a mortgage over that particular, now see, WP83 or some number, you are going to take a mortgage over that particular motor vehicle for your personal loan. So therefore, this mortgage is a fixed mortgage. But here, it will be a floating mortgage. Why? Because you are taking a loan, you are taking a mortgage over a consignment of motor vehicle, 500 million. The consignment of motor vehicle, even in the mortgage bond, you will mention mortgage over motor vehicles of Toyota, Honda, Nissan, like that, so many vehicles you will give, but they are not giving the vehicle chassis number, nothing is given. They are only saying we have 500 million worth of motor vehicles comprising of Toyota, like that. But here, it's a personal loan we are taking, we are designating the motor vehicle. It is the number is given. So you are taking a mortgage over that particular vehicle, WP 835 or something. So it is a fixed mortgage. Is it clear to you all? But if Intra-Trader's managing director comes to your bank, if Intra-Trader's managing director comes to your bank for a loan of, say, 25 million, if Intra-Trader's managing director comes to your bank for a loan of 25 million to buy a latest BMW, what is the loan here? What is the mortgage you will take? What's the mortgage you will take?
Fixed.
Fixed, very good. You will take a fixed mortgage. Why? Because you are going to create a mortgage over that particular motor vehicle. That's why it is called fixed mortgage. Now, some time back, you all would have seen a particular gentleman bought a motor vehicle for 156 million in Sri Lanka. A leading gentleman, I don't want to mention the name, a bank chairman, bought a vehicle for 156 million in Sri Lanka. He bought a vehicle for 156 million. So if he has come to your bank for a loan, what is the mortgage you will take? Fixed or floating? Fixed or floating? Fixed. Very good. So remember, I am just explain to you all, because otherwise you all might get confused. Always when you are taking motor vehicles, we always take a fixed mortgage. All of the mortgages we take a floating mortgage, but motor vehicle we take a fixed mortgage. But if there's a consignment of motor vehicle, we always go for floating mortgage. Now, category of mortgages. Now,
This is the same for the lease facility, no, sir?
lease as you all say.
But the leasing companies are giving once they do a mortgage, they are giving a refinance and retention facilities.
Yes.
Is that it's going to on a categories under the floating mortgage?
No, the lease facility you are taking absolute ownership, no?
Yeah.
Yes, lease facility different. Lease facility is different. We are taking an absolute ownership on the motor vehicle. The bank is taking an absolute ownership on the motor vehicle, and in case of a default, you have the right to seize the motor vehicle. But here you don't have that right. Here you don't have that right to seize the motor vehicle. Lease facility is different.
Okay.
So now we are coming to the next one, because here we can't seize the motor vehicle. That's why I always tell, if somebody asks, my friends or somebody wants to take buy a motor vehicle, if they want to take a lease facility. Now I am asking you the question: if one of your friends wants to buy a motor vehicle, what will you advise? You will advise to take a loan by mortgaging the vehicle, or will you advise them to take a lease facility? Let me ask you a simple question. If one of your friends, or your brother, or your father, or your brother, or somebody wants to buy a car, so the bank, here gone to the bank. Bank is giving two options. You can go for a lease facility, or you can go for a loan by mortgaging the motor vehicle. Which one will you advise to your brother? You are one of your relation. Lease or mortgage? What will
Mortgage. Mortgage.
Wait, mortgage. Why you will advise a mortgage? Why you won't advise a lease facility?
Because the mortgage is the secure for us.
Yes.
Not for the bank, but the mortgage is secure for us.
Yes, that's right. Very good. So mortgage is we are at an advantage. Am I correct?
Yes.
We are at an advantage. The reason is because I also with some people contact. These are trade secrets. Lease is beneficial to the bank. Lease is beneficial to the bank But at the same time, there are certain disadvantages to the customer, because in case if you default, the bank has a right to seize the vehicle. In a mortgage, they can't seize the vehicle. Am I correct? In a mortgage, they can't seize the vehicle without a court order. Lease, they can seize the vehicle. So that is a difference. But lease is beneficial to the bank, but the customer is at a disadvantage. So now we are coming to the next session. Now this particular mortgages, you can go through the session again, because there will be questions on these mortgages. Now we are coming to the next one, category of mortgages. When you say category of mortgages, primary, secondary, tertiary. Now see, when you execute a mortgage, types of mortgages: primary mortgage, secondary mortgage, tertiary mortgage, concurrent mortgage. These are the types of mortgages. What do you mean by primary mortgage? The primary mortgage is the very first mortgage executed to secure a facility. That means if I come to a bank for a loan facility, again by mortgaging my property, if I mortgage the house, if I mortgage the property for the very first time, that is designated as a primary mortgage, because that is the very first time I am mortgaging the property. Later, if I want an additional facility, I come to the bank against the same property because it has substantial value. Then you take a additional mortgage that is defined as secondary mortgage. Then after some time, I go for a third mortgage, third time. That is called, defined as tertiary mortgages. Like that, we can execute any number of mortgages: tertiary, quaternary, fifth mortgage, sixth mortgage, seventh mortgage, eighth mortgage, provided that particular property has substantial value to secure all these mortgages. So remember, primary mortgage is the very first mortgage. Thereafter, every time when we want to take additional mortgages, we can create any number of mortgages, provided that particular asset has the value to cover the overall exposure. Now, this is very important. This particular slide, very important, you make a note of it. Important factors to be considered prior to the execution of any additional mortgage. Any additional mortgage executed to secure an advance subsequent to the primary mortgage covering the same property asset should have adequate value to secure such an advance. You can't just go on executing mortgages if the particular asset does not have the value to secure the overall exposure. We should ensure adequate precaution is taken to secure such an exposure by ascertaining the value of asset which secures the overall mortgages. Whenever we are taking a mortgage, additional mortgage, we have to find out whether that particular asset has the value to secure the mortgage. Executing a mortgage for the sake of security will be a futile exercise and will have no value. Now, concurrent mortgage. Now, there was a question on this last paper, there was a question on this. I think 95% of the people have answered it very well. 95% of the people answered it. Concurrent mortgage. What do you mean by, what is your understanding of a concurrent mortgage? Concurrent mortgage is a mortgage created, executed. Now, see, I must also confess. Now, the questions will be set from the handout and from the presentation. So, over and over, the same questions will be repeated, but in a different way. Now, in this particular session, of course, I don't give any assignments. Because when you give assignments, people will get somebody to write an assignment, come and hand over. It doesn't go to their head. So because of that, I don't give any assignment. I want the students to answer. So you have the questions are from the same question paper, same handouts, but we will be asking the question in a different way. Different terminology will be used. But you don't have to worry. I will not go out of the handouts and the presentation. So when you say concurrent mortgage, there was a question, what is your understanding of a concurrent mortgage? Concurrent mortgage is a mortgage created, executed over an asset to secure a facility to two or more entities. Now take for instance, if a customer walks into a bank and says, we want to start a tile factory. That means flow tiles. We want to manufacture flow tiles because we find flow tiles. There is a good demand for flow tiles because now we find, certain people are having a monopoly over flow tiles. So we want to start a factory, and we feel we can give it at a cheaper rate and Japanese technology. So they have done a project proposal, and they have come to a bank for a loan of 500 million to import certain machinery from Japan. So your bank has gone through the project and you are satisfied. Your bank is satisfied because somewhere in Omagama they have they have a land, and they are putting their equity, and you are going to import the machinery from Japan. So you are satisfied with the project, everything, but you don't want to give the entire burden, take over the burden of giving the entire loan, but 500 million loan. So now let us assume if it is HNB, they feel HNB officials have gone through the project proposal, and they feel we don't want to take the entire burden, shouldering the entire burden. Why not share this burden liability with another bank? So they contacted another bank. Let us assume it is commercial bank. So HNB contacts commercial bank and says, we have got a proposal for a customer wants to take a loan of 500 million. Very good proposal. Mortgage, what you call securities, mortgage over their land at Homagama and the machinery which are being imported. So they want 500 million. We have no problem in giving, but we feel we like to share this with another bank. We all like to share it. Then the commercial bank officials will want to go through it. So they have gone through the project proposal. They have done the preliminary work, everything independently, and they are also happy. They said, yes, we are also happy with the project. So we will give 250 million. You can give 200. HNB will give 250 million. Commercial bank will give 250 million. So what is security? Both banks concurrently take a mortgage for 500 million over that particular factory complex at Homagama, inclusive of the machinery which are being imported. So they take a concurrent mortgage. That means both banks, HNB and commercial, concurrently take a mortgage. So that is what is called concurrent mortgage. So both banks have equal rights over the asset. So that is what is called concurrent mortgage. Concurrent mortgage is a mortgage created over an asset to secure facilities to two or more entities. 90% of the students have answered this question very well. Of course, 2 or 3 have failed, but 90 or 95% of the people have answered it very well. Concurrent mortgage is a mortgage created, executed over an asset to secure facilities to 2 or more entities. There are some banks which have granted big facilities by sharing the liability with another bank. But both banks have taken a mortgage, concurrent mortgage. So that means both banks have equal rights over the mortgage. That is what is called concurrent mortgage. Is it clear to you all? Was it clear? Concurrent mortgage? Was it clear?
Is that land?
Yes.
We can do a concurrent mortgage.
Yes, you can do a concurrent mortgage.
But that value,
land and the machinery which are being imported. Land and the machinery which are being imported.
Is that value? Example, already HNB have 50 million of a loan,
Yes.
and now he's want to go to another loan for 30 million through commercial bank. If that value should be gone to more than 80 million.
Yes. No, that is different, because actually now if he has taken a loan from HNB of 50 million, you say he wants to go to commercial bank for a loan of 30 million by mortgaging the same property. That's what you're asking. Your question.
Yes, sir.
Yes. That will not happen in the sense. That will not happen in the sense commercial bank will not take a additional mortgage without the consent of HNB. You follow? If the customer has mortgaged the property to HNB for a loan of 50 million and he is going to commercial bank for a loan of 30 million by mortgaging the same property, that means he will take additional mortgage. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
So commercial bank will not take that mortgage without the concurrence of HNB. Because why? HNB is having the primary mortgage. So
Yes.
HNB has to give their consent. Without HNB giving the consent, commercial bank will never take a mortgage. Commercial bank will ask HNB whether we are willing to give our consent, which HNB will never give. Am I correct? HNB will never give, because they will ask the customer, why are you going to commercial bank? We will give you the 30 million.
Yes.
Is it clear? HNB
Yes,
will ask the customer, why are you going to commercial bank? We will give you a 30 million. And commercial bank also will never ever take a mortgage without the consent of HNB, because that type of situations are very rare, because no bank will take a mortgage. There are 1 or 2 banks have taken it without the consent, but that is not correct. They have to get the consent from the first primary mortgage holder. But
Mortgage.
concurrent mortgage is different.
And legal documents also do with.
Yes, legal document, if it is a concurrent mortgage, the original documents will be held with HNB, because they are the lead bank, because it is their customer, no? Yes, they are, since their customer, since it is their customer, they will have the luxury of having the original documents with them. But of course, commercial bank will have every right to have certified copies of the documents, leads. They will have a right to have the certified copies. Since HNB is a HNB customer, they will have the luxury of having the original, but commercial bank will have the certified copies of the document. All document they should have, commercial bank. That is concurrent mortgage. So both facilities are granted with the concurrence of both parties. That is what is called concurrent mortgage. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Now we are coming to the, now we are coming to the, I am very happy you are asking questions, because when you ask questions, I am also very happy. Because there is no one here. 200 chairs, I can take a picture and share it in my Facebook also. There are about 250 chairs here, not a single soul here. Not even a rat. So now we are coming to the third-party mortgages. What do you mean by third-party mortgage? There was a question on third-party mortgage, not in the last exam, previous exam. Now, third-party mortgage is a mortgage created over an asset of a different entity not connected to the facility, approved to an individual party. It will be prudent to avoid third-party mortgages. However, in case of compulsion towards acceptance of such a security, certain steps should be taken towards strengthening. Now, take me as an example. I walk into a bank for a loan of 2 million. I come and tell you, sir, I want a loan of 2 million. Will you give me a loan of 2 million to me without any security? Will you give? Will you consider? Will you consider granting me a loan of 2 million? Yes or no? If I come to your bank for a loan of 2 million, will you favorably consider my request? Yes or no? Don't be sure. No. Yes, very good. You will not consider granting me you won't favorably consider. Why? Because of the age. Because the age. I always say our age is our biggest enemy. Our age is our biggest enemy. I am not using any dye or anything. If I want, I can use dye to hide the white hair, but I don't. This is natural hair. Because, but still for all, if I come to your bank for a loan facility, you will not consider. Why? Because of my age. My age is my biggest enemy, because once you reach a certain age, that particular segment is considered as high risk. So you say, sir, we can't give you a loan. You will ask, if I ask why you won't give the reason, but at the back of your mind, you will be worried about my age. You will be thinking that this gentleman is old, and in case if he dies, what will happen to the facility? But HNB's first managing director, he lived up to 92 years. HNB's first managing director, he died last year. I went for the funeral also. He died at the age of 92 years. But still for all, once you pass a certain age, 55 years, you are considered as a under the high risk category. So therefore, you will not want to grant a loan of 2 million, but you will ask, sir, we can consider granting the loan, provided you give us some acceptable security. So I tell you, I don't have any security. You don't have any property. No, I don't have any property. You have no assets. No, I have no assets. But my sister is having a property. Can I give my sister's property as security to my loan? Then you say yes. Then if you take my sister's property as security and grant the loan, it is considered as third-party mortgage. That means you are granting a loan to me against the mortgage of my sister's property, which is categorized as third party. Why? For my loan, you are taking a mortgage over a third party or somebody else's property. So that is what is called third-party mortgages. Now, banks are not taking third-party mortgages. Banks are not taking third-party mortgages. The reason is, sometime back, there was a problem. A particular bank granted a loan to a property developer. A particular bank granted a massive amount of loan, some 500 million, to a property developer who put up some apartments in Colombo. This particular property developer put up some apartments in Colombo, and in turn the bank has taken a mortgage over this apartment. There are about 50, I can't remember the exact number, let us assume 50 apartments. So he took a loan of 500 million from this particular bank, put up the apartments. So the bank took a mortgage over these apartments. And that means the people who bought the apartments had mortgage. Customer A, to put up the apartment, he has taken a loan 500 million, put up the apartments as security. The bank has taken a mortgage over the people who purchased the apartment. So that means the people who bought the apartment, they have mortgaged the apartment to the bank to secure the loan granted to this particular customer. So it's a third-party mortgage because they are not the owner, they are not the borrowers. Borrower is the property developer. Borrower is the property developer. So they are taking they have bought the apartment, but they have mortgaged the apartment. What happened? Customer defaulted. Then the bank wanted to go for a parate action. I will explain to you all what is parate action later. Just for the time being, we'll take it to parate action. The bank wanted to go for a parate action. That means they wanted to sell the property. Customer went to the courts, and the Supreme Court gave a ruling. Third-party mortgages, you can't go for parate action. So the ruling was, just because you have granted a loan and they have given their mortgages, and they are not a party to the borrowing. No, they are not a party to the borrowing. So borrower is somebody else. Now here, innocent third party has been dragged to the mortgage bond, and just because this man has defaulted, you are trying to sell the property, you can't do that. So Supreme Court gave a ruling, third party mortgages, you can't go for the parate action. Then what happened? Bank couldn't sell the property. They had to go through the normal procedure. Then the bank lawyers have done their homework. Because there are several other facilities they have to grant. So the bank lawyers have done their homework. Then they came out with a solution, and the Supreme Court also gave a ruling later on. If there is some connection to the loan, you can go for a parate action. That means if there is some connection by this third party to the loan, you can go for a mortgage, what do you call it, parate action. So what did the banks do? They connected this third party to the loan. How did they connect it? Can you tell me, how did they connect it? By making the third party a co-borrower. That means if my sister has given her property as security for the loan, you make my sister a co-borrower to the what? To the loan. Joint borrower. So by doing that, you are eliminating the concept of third party. Now almost all the banks, they have come to a decision not to take third party mortgages. They are taking third party mortgages. What happens by taking third party mortgages? you are making the third party a co-borrower. So that by making the third party a co-borrower, you are eliminating the risk of third party. There's no third party. So if you come across situations like that, you make the third party, the owner of the property, as a joint borrower. Is it clear to you all? Is it clear? It will be prudent to avoid third-party mortgages. However, in case of compulsion, towards acceptance of such a property security, certain steps should be taken towards strengthening the security to avoid legal complication. So, is it clear? Third-party mortgages?
The third-party mortgage, if you want to any relationship with the primary borrower and secondary or third mortgage property owner.
Yeah, but the relationship, no relationship.
Yeah, no any
we,
relation.
No, we don't have to work. It could be even a beggar can't have own a property. It could be even a friend, anyone. We are not asking the relationship. Anyone. Relationship, we are not bothered about the relationship. We are not worried about the relationship. It could be anyone. So if I come to a bank and say, I don't have a property, I bring somebody and say, why don't you take Mr. A, who is a close friend of mine. So we will check the documents and make Mr. A a co-borrower. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Right. So now we'll move on to the next slide. There was a question on this also. I don't know whether it was previous exam. There was a question. Make a note of this particular slide. It's a very important slide that will, for your own benefit, in your credit assignments. Whenever you are taking a asset as security, these are the 4 important aspects which you have to consider. Whenever you are taking an asset as security, these are the 4 important aspects which you have to consider. Number 1 is ownership and title of the asset. Like that helmet man was not interested, we can't do it. Ownership and title of the asset. Its realizable value in case of an eventuality. Its longevity, durability, its marketability. So if you adhere to these 4 important principles, you will never go wrong. Whenever you are taking a credit, you can laminate this and keep it on your table, keep it under your glass. Whenever you are taking a security, ask yourself, you are adhering to these 4 principles. Whenever you are taking security, these are memorize this, or you can even laminate or keep it under your glass. These are the 4 important aspects. Its reliable value, realizable value in case of eventual, longevity, durability, its market. So make a note of this particular slide because this is a very important slide. Then attributes of good securities. You all have given me the answer. The good security is immovable property. Definition of immovable property, land includes that, you don't have to worry. So now, category of under immovable property, when you say immovable property, house and property, land and building, condominium, that is apartment, immovable machinery, always considered as first class and solid security. Immovable property, at the very outset, you all gave me the answer. Immovable is first class and solid security. Now, out of all the security, you can see immovable is very, very strong. That's why I have highlighted that. Now we are coming to the important aspect. Why we are going for immovable property? At the very outset, also I asked the question: why we are going for immovable property? Why bankers in your menu card? You always, if you want to go if you go to a hotel and restaurant, order fried rice, why your preference is fried rice, not fried noodles? Because you have certain reasons. Similarly, in your menu card, immovable property is on top. Why you are going for immovable property? The reason is the value is not only stable, it is on an increasing trend. The immovable property value is not only stable, it is always on an increasing trend. The value will always go up. Now, at the present situation, at a time when the fixed deposit rates are coming down, people are looking at other way of investment because now deposit rates are coming down. So value is not only stable, it is on an increasing trend. Value is always in immovable property. Value always is on an increasing trend. Very rarely the value comes down. Exceptional circumstance, value may come down, but very rarely the value comes down. Bank has a solid legal right over the property. You have a solid legal right because you have done, your legal officer has gone through the title, everything. Solid asset, the value remains intact and does not depreciate. Value remains intact. Value will not depreciate. Parate execution ensures easy realization in case of an eventuality. Parate, I will explain to you Parate in my next slide. Motivation on the part of the borrower to honor their commitment in view of the valuable security held by the bank. If I have given an immovable property as security, there is a motivation on my part to settle the loan. Otherwise, you will sell the property because I have given a very valuable security to you. So therefore, there is a big big motivation on my part to settle the facility and release the land. Then easy to monitor the asset and less management costs. It's easy to monitor. You don't have to carry out inspection to see whether the immovable property is there. Less management cost. Last one, peace of mind to the banker. You have complete peace of mind. If you are taking more property as security, you have complete peace of mind. So, do you agree with all these benefits? Do you all agree with all these benefits? Agreed or not agreed? You all agree with?
Agree.
Yes. In addition to this, I have deliberately omitted one particular advantage. What is that? Can you all tell me? Apart from this, when you take immovable property, there are another important benefits which could be derived by the banker in taking immovable property as security. What is that? What's that? Because if you are taking immovable property as security, it will prevent the customer from moving from your bank to another bank. He can't go to another bank. Why? He can't go without your blessings because you had to release the mortgage. Am I correct? Now, there are about 27 banks operating in Sri Lanka. So there are so many marketing people, various other people, they are involved in canvassing business. So if they canvass one of your customer cannot go to that bank without your concurrence. Why? Because the property is mortgaged to your bank. So you have to release the mortgage. You have to agree to release the mortgage. And if the customer comes to your bank and says, sir, can you give a letter to this particular bank confirming that you will release my mortgage, or just give me a letter confirming my outstanding. Then you will ask the customer, why are you asking this letter? No, I am going for an additional facility. No, we will give you the facility. So he is trapped. Am I correct? Immovable property, he can't go to another bank without your concurrence. So these are the advantages available to you when you take immovable property as security. Then definition of parate. Now I explained to you all the benefits here. One is parate execution to ensure easy realization. Now, what do you mean by parate? There was a question on parate in our previous one of the previous exam. What is parate? Now you can look at this particular slide. Parate execution is a term of defaulting customers of a bank fear most. Parate is a Dutch term which means immediate, and parate execution basically means a debt recovery process outside the normal law. The moment parate execution notice is published in the newspapers, the borrower loses the reputation and gets exposed as a defaulter. With the insertion of the new section 5A, the Recovery of Loans by Banks Act of 1940 will allow banks to resort to parate action. The flow of 5 million imposed excludes any interest accrued or penalties imposed thereon. Accordingly, up to 5 million, all cases are mandated to follow the normal judiciary. So in other words, when you say parate execution means, if I have mortgaged a property, immovable property, not movable, immovable property, and if the original loan amount was 5 million, the bank can auction the property without the intervention of the courts in case of a default. Now, but now parate, what is now? You can look at this slide there, sir. Just look at this slide. Give me 2 minutes. Just look at this slide. Just look at this slide. Give me 2 minutes. Explain to you all the benefits available to you all in taking immovable property. So, out of all the benefits, parate execution. What do you mean by parate execution? When you say parate, if I have mortgaged my property and taken a loan above 5 million, in case of a default, the bank has a right to auction the property without the intervention of the courts. So that means parate execution is the right of the mortgagee to sell the mortgage property without the intervention of the courts. So in case, if I have taken a loan, if I defaulted, you have the right to auction the property. So see the advantage available to the bank in taking immovable property, because under the parate action, the bank has a right to sell the property in case if I default. Now the amount is 5 million. That means if I have taken a loan of 3 million against a mortgage property, you can't go for parate action. You can't sell it. It has to be the original amount should have been 5 million. So now I want to ask you a question. This 5 million limit was increased about 7 or 8 years back only. It was increased. Originally, when this act was enacted in 1988, what was the limit? Can you all just, anyone, I don't think anyone will be able to answer this particular question just for your information. When this act was enacted, when they enacted this Parate Action Act in 1988, that time I can remember I went for some seminars also. So there a particular amount was stipulated. What was amount? It was 150,000. The amount was 150,000. Now this was increased to 5 million. About 7 years back, it was increased to 5 million. So you can see from 150,000, the limit was increased to 5 million. That means if I, prior to 2000, I think prior to 2002, I can't remember the exact, 2005 or somewhere, if I have taken a loan, if anyone has taken a loan by mortgaging the property and if the original amount was 150,000 rupees, bank has had the right to auction the property. So the bank was, what do you call, going for you. If you have seen the papers those days, most of the banks were making use of the opportunity to auction the property. So as a result of that, there was tremendous pressure brought on the government at that time, saying that the bankers were harassing the customers because for slightest thing, if they default, the banks were auctioning the property. So what happened? The government intervened and the government said, no, we gave you a powerful weapon. You all have been misusing it. So now time has come for us to increase the limit to 5 million. So just imagine the limit of 5 million, 150,000 was increased to 5 million. From 150,000, it was increased to 5 million. The reason is because government felt bankers have been misusing this particular option facility. The bankers were given a powerful weapon to use it in case of a necessity. But the banks, the moment the customer defaults, small time customers, if a person who has taken 150,000 or 200,000 loan, if he defaults, the banks were auctioning the property. So the government intervened. Now, whether you like it or not, now the limit is 5 million. But at the same time, you all also must understand I must tell you all, because most of the young bankers don't give serious consideration to this particular aspect. That means, let us assume I have taken a loan from your bank, 5 million loan, by mortgaging my property. I had defaulted. All of a sudden, I had lost my job. I've been paying the installments on the due date, but due to some unforeseen situation, circumstances, I had lost my job. As a result of that, my loan has gone into arrears. You are writing letters after letters to me. I come to your bank and I am appealing to you. Sir, you are threatening me, saying that we are going to sell you, auction your property. So I am appealing to you, don't auction it. Because if you auction, I will be on the road. My family will be on the road. Give me some time till I find another job. I am not telling you I am not going to settle the, I am not saying that I am not going to settle the loan. I'll settle the loan, but the only thing is, I am, at the moment, I am having certain financial constraints due to loss of employment. So I am confident that I'll be able to get an alternate job or some other avenue. Give me 5 months or 3 or 4 months. You are saying no. You are arrogant banker. You are saying no. We are going to auction the property. Then what happens? If you take that attitude, I can seek the intervention of the courts. I can go to courts and tell the courts, I have taken a loan from this bank. I have been paying on the due date. Now I have some financial problem because I have lost my job. I am not denying my liability. I am not absconding. I am telling the bank only to consider granting me further time, which they are refusing. Then the courts will issue an injunction to the bank stopping the sale. That is what is called injunction. So now the bankers are very, very careful. Now, good olden days, those days, when you take the newspaper, you see what Parate execution cases running into about 4 or 5 pages, big ads. Now we rarely see. Why? The bankers are very, very careful now. Bankers are now very careful because they know if they try to harass the customer has the right to go to courts and get an injunction. So you can't, just because Parate action is available, you can't just go and auction the property. You can use this option only if all other options available at your disposal have been fully exhausted. So remember, some people are under the impression, Parate action, we can auction. No, you can't do that. Customer can go to the courts. Courts are also very sympathetic towards the customer. Lawyer will come and tell, Your Honor, the customer has been harassed by this bank. My client is not denying the liability. He is only asking for time. Court will issue an injunction preventing the auction, preventing the auction of the property. Is it clear to you all, Parate action? So if there's in a nutshell, to explain Parate action, if a facility is secured against an immovable property and if the original amount has been 5 million, bank has the right. I'm not telling, I'm just telling it, they have the right to sell the mortgage property without the intervention of the courts. It is not automatic. Just because the customer defaults, you can't go and auction it. No, that can't happen. Once you fully exhaust all the options, if all the options fails, and you have come to a situation where you find this customer, particular customer, is a willful defaulter. He has the money, but he doesn't want to sell the property. He has the money, but he is absconding. So that type of customers, you can without any hesitation, you can go for Parate action because even if that go. That's why I always tell my staff, the bankers, whenever you all are doing the recoveries, you must always have documentary evidence to confirm that you have been talking to the customer. Now see, when I was attached to HNB and all, whenever my staff used to speak to the customer regarding loan recovery, immediately a letter goes, registered letter. Further conversation we had with you, wherein you agreed to pay 1 lakh before next Friday. We put that letter, registered letter, the copy of the letter is filed. Why? The reason is, in case if the customer goes to the court for injunction, we can go to the courts and counter that and tell the courts, no, we have been talking, this man has been telling the same old story for the last 6 months. Here are the letters. So if you just speak to the customer over the phone, that will not be accepted by the courts. Courts will ask, you say you have been speaking to the customer, where do you have any document evidence? So that's why we always tell in recoveries, when you are speaking to the customer, follow it up with a letter. That letter, registered letter, should be in the file so that you can avoid situations which could arise towards the execution of parate action. Is it clear to you all? Is it clear? Parate action?
Yes.
Yes. Now, if there is a question, what are the benefits available? Name 3 or 4 benefits in obtaining immovable property as security. The answer is here. Answer is here. In addition to that, there's another factor, what you call benefit. Customer, it will prevent the customer from jumping from bank to bank. So parate action, remember, it is only for immovable property and only if the original amount should have been 5 million. Supposing the original amount has come down to 3 million, you can go for parate action. Supposing the original amount was 3 million, with the interest component it has come to 5 million, you can't go for parate action because the Act stipulates the original amount should have been 5 million. So now I have explained the parate action. Now when you say parate action, this is the type of notice which will appear in the newspapers. Now see the powerful weapon. Your name will be divulged in the newspapers, in English, Tamil, Sinhalese newspaper, and it will be over and over, they will publish it. So here HNB has published a notice. This has a sample I am showing you. Now at a meeting of the board of directors at National Bank, it was resolved specifically in unanimously, the name of the customer is given. Why? 5 million loan he has taken. He has taken a loan of 5 million, he has defaulted. Now the HNB has, now see, you can see the amount, 5.3 million. HNB has intimated of their intention to auction the property. The details of the property are given. So this is the powerful weapon the banks are having. This is the powerful weapon the bank. Now here HNB, they would have exhausted all options. Now they are going to auction it. So this is the advantage immovable property, because we can threaten the customer. When immovable property, we tell the customer we are going for parate action. Customer gets scared. Why? Because his name will be published in the newspapers. His name will appear in the newspapers as a defaulter. Now say, if I have taken a loan from your bank and if I have defaulted, and if you are going to publish, if my name is published, can I come and lecture here? I can't lecture because my reputation has been tarnished. So this is the parate action execution. This is the notice. Parate notice. This is the notice. Although the parate term is a Dutch term, they are not given a Sri Lankan identity, but the term, I don't know why they used this term, but the what you call in a nutshell, this is the parate action notice. This is the notice resolution adopted by this. So these type of notices will appear. So now we are coming to another important constraints in immovable property. Now we spoke about the advantages available in immovable property, but at the same time there are certain disadvantages. What are the disadvantages? Time-consuming process towards the title examination and executing the mortgage. There is always a delay in the execution of the mortgage because legal officer lawyer has to examine the title. The value of the property may, under exceptional circumstances, could fall due to negligence on the part of the mortgager. Sometimes the property value may come down due to the negligence on the part of the mortgagee. If they have not maintained the building properly, sometimes the value may drop. Inability of the bank to find a suitable buyer due to various negative aspects of the property. Inability of the bank to find a suitable buyer due to various negative aspects of the property. But these constraint difficulties are all manageable. These difficulties are all manageable. It's under your control. You can manage these difficulties. That's why I said constraints in immovable property, these are all under your control. If time-consuming process, that also could be managed. If you tell your lawyer or legal officer, no, if you don't do the title examination, we are going to lose this customer. We want that you can demand from the branch lawyer, legal officer, we want the title examination within a couple of days. Why? Otherwise, we are going to lose this customer. The value of the property may under exceptional circumstances fall due to negligence on the part of the mortgagor. That also could be managed by you, because by carrying out periodical inspections, you will ensure the value is stable, the property is being maintained very well. The inability of the bank to find a suitable buyer due to various negative aspects, that also could be managed, because if you find any danger signals, you can manage it. I will explain what are the danger signals later. So now, comparison of immovable and movable. Now see this particular slide, make a note of this particular slide also, it's very important. In a nutshell, it gives the advantages in obtaining immovable property against movable. Immovable property appreciates in value. Movable depreciates in value. Immovable, motivation by the borrower to honor their commitment. Movable asset, no motivation. Easy to monitor, movable, difficult to monitor. Peace of mind, no peace of mind. Asset will be intact, asset will not be intact. Bank's exposure will be safe, bank's exposure is exposed to you. Now you can see in this particular slide, make a note of this particular slide. If there's a question, what are the benefits available in immovable property? Answer is here. What are the disadvantages in movable asset? Answer is here. So there will be a question on this particular slide. So you go through this very carefully, because here everything is in a nutshell. I have compared immovable property with movable asset. Then what is condominium? That is apartments. Apartments are also coming under immovable property. So now we are coming to the important aspect. How do we secure immovable property as security? When you are taking an immovable property as security, the title to the property offered as security should be examined for a period of 25 to 30 years to ascertain the ownership, subject to the guidelines of each bank financial institution. Bank to bank, it may vary, but generally, most of the banks insist on the title examination for a period of 25 to 30 years at least. Some banks, it may vary. So if the bank's lawyer, legal officer should submit a detailed title report, history of title. If the title is recommended by the lawyers towards acceptance, the bank would proceed and advise the lawyers to arrange for the execution of the mortgage. However, the execution of the mortgage should be done only after ascertaining the acceptance or the valuation of the property, which is a very important stipulation. Failure to ensure such a course of action will result in serious repercussion. Now, immovable property, the title of the property has to be examined for a period of 25 to 30 years. You don't have to worry. It is a responsibility of the lawyer, branch lawyer, legal officer will examine the title for 25 to 30 years, and they will send you a big report which is defined as a title report, history of title. So when that report comes, you are required to go through that report very carefully. Every full stop and comma has to be read. Every full stop and comma of the title has to be read. If the title is recommended by the lawyer toward the acceptance, the bank would proceed and advise the lawyer to arrange for the execution of the mortgage. So in other words, immovable property, when you are getting the title deeds, you are referring to the lawyer. Lawyer will do the search. He or she will give you a full report. Sometimes it will run it 10 or 15 pages, but you are required to go through the title report very carefully and satisfy yourself. Lawyer will sometimes recommend, title is recommended subject to the above. What is the above? You have to go through the report. Sometimes they say, we recommend, some of the young people, young bankers, they jump the gun. They see the lawyers, they read the last para, where lawyers say title is accepted. Recommended subject to the above. They don't read the above. What are the above? Above stipulations. You have to read the entire title report. If you are satisfied, then you can advise the lawyer to proceed with the execution of the mortgage. Now, title defects, title not being recommended. What do we mean by title defects or defective titles? Now, there are cases, sometimes lawyers may not recommend the title. Now, I will take one case because now as a case study, I will take a easy case. Now, this particular case, the branch lawyer submitted a detailed title report. This is a very common case. However, they were able to examine the title only from the year 2000, from which point the title is very clear. Prior to 2000, the records are not available at the registrar of lands. Folios damaged, destroyed, entry is not clear. So in other words, the branch lawyer has submitted a detailed title report. However, they were able to examine the title only from 2000, year 2000. According to your bank stipulation, you had to examine the title for 25 to 30 years. But here the lawyer has said, I was able to examine the title only for 20 years. Why? The folios damaged, destroyed, entry is not clear. So this is considered as a defective title. This is considered as a defective title. Why? Because you want the title to be examined for 25 years. Lawyer says, I can examine only for 20 years by land registry folios damage. So this is considered as a defective title. So how do we proceed? If you come across such a situation, there are ways. As bankers, we have to mitigate these risks which may affect our security in the future. The customer who has sought the facility from your bank is considered to be excellent. These defects are beyond his control as he is the current legal owner. How do we proceed now? Your customer, he is a genuine customer. Just because the land registry has destroyed the document, registry documents, folios not available, you can't penalize the customer. But your bank says, no, we want to be examined for 25 years. Lawyer says, no, I can examine only for 20 years. Prior to 20 years, land registry documents now. How do we proceed? You can proceed by obtaining a title insurance policy. This is what is called a title insurance policy. Due to various aspects, the branch lawyers, legal officers may not recommend the title. In such an eventuality, the bank could consider acceptance subject to a title insurance policy. What is title insurance policy? It is an assurance which covers any defects in title and provides comfort to the bank. Title insurance should cover 150% of the value of the mortgage. Title insurance valid until the cancellation of the mortgage. Substantial premium is payable on title insurance, which could vary from company to company. So in other words, if there's a question, what is a title insurance? Title insurance is due to various aspects. The branch lawyer may not recommend a title. In such an eventuality, the bank could consider acceptance subject to a title insurance. So if there's a question, what is title insurance? Title insurance is normally obtained whenever we come across weak title. Whenever we come across weak title, and if, here in this instance, lawyer has told you he can examine only for 20 years. Then you had to go back to the lawyer and ask the lawyer, can we, for the balance 5 years, can we mitigate that risk by going for a title insurance? Then the lawyer has to advise. Lawyer says, yes, you can go for a title insurance. Then you contact an insurance company. Then the insurance company's lawyers also will go through the title independently. They will go through the title independently, and there's a risk there. So they will say, yes, we can give you title insurance provided you pay a premium, this amount of premium you pay. So in other words, we are worried as bankers, we are worried because there is a risk. So the insurer is coming forward. He is coming to our rescue and telling us, you are worried about that 5-year period. Don't worry, you go ahead with the mortgage bond, and we are giving a title. In case if you encounter any problem, we will take care of. That is what is known as title insurance policy. Is it clear to you all? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. So now we will come to the next one, next important one, properties with life interest. Now, sometimes when you read the title report, lawyer, sometimes he would have said the title to immovable property recommended subject to life interest. Now, sometimes, if I have mortgage, if I have been gifted a property by my mother, My mother, when she gifted the property, she has said, I am gifting my property to my son subject to my life interest. Why? Because otherwise she will be on the road. So if I go and mortgage that property to the bank's lawyer, when he did the title report, he has come across this life interest. So he says, this property tightly recommended subject to the life interest. That's why I want you to read the title report. Lawyer says, this property is tightly recommended subject to the above stipulations. So what is above? You have to read the title report. When you read the title report, lawyer says, Mr. So-and-so's, he's having the ownership, but title is vested on him, but subject to the life interest of his mother. So if you come across such a situation, in such instances, the life interest holder should revoke their interest and be drawn a party to the mortgage. So that means my mother has to revoke her interest, or she should be drawn as a party to the mortgage. There have been instances where such properties have been taken as security without the concurrence of the life interest holder, which exposes the bank to major risk. So that means whenever you come across situations like this, you must always ensure life interest, the life interest holder has to revoke his or her interest. Now I am coming to now we can stop in another 5 or 10 minutes time. We can stop with this one. Important aspects to be checked on a valuation report covering. Now, once the title report hurdle is cleared, then comes the next hurdle. What is the next hurdle? Valuation report. You have to now see, if you ask the customer what is the value of the property, he will say 15 million. But we don't go by the value given by the customer. Human weakness is such, when you ask somebody what is the value of your property, they will say 20 million. But we want that value to be valued by a valuer from our bank's panel of valuers. Now in our bank, in your bank, you will have a panel of valuers, professional people who are professionally qualified and accepted by your bank board. So they are the people who have been authorized to value. So you have to first get, once the mortgage title report is confirmed by the legal officer, then you come, so before execute the mortgage, you have to go for a valuation report from the bank's panel of valuers. The valuer will go through the property. He should be from your bank's panel. The property should be described in accordance with the description referred to in the title report. Now you have to, when the valuation report comes, you have to check the valuation report and see in the property description whether the property, the valuer has valued the same property as mentioned by the legal officer. The legal officer would have said property described as lot number A in plan number 83 drawn by Mr. So-and-so. Then you have to see that same description is mentioned by the valuer in the valuation report. Otherwise, you would have gone and valued you would have gone and valued. So you have to, that is the most important stipulation. You have to check with the title report and see whether it is the same property valuation. Then, if there is a building within the property which attracts substantial value, the building approval COC should be obtained. If building approval is not available, the value of the building should not be taken into consideration to assess the value of the property. Now see, if there is a building in the particular property, we had to, and if the value has given some value to the building, then we had to ask for the building approval. Not only the building approval, we had to ask for the COC, Certificate of Conformity. What do you mean by Certificate of Conformity? Now see, if you want to put up a house, first thing you do is you draw a plan. You will draw a plan. Once the plan is drawn, you will go to the, you will go to your local authority, municipal council or Pradesh Sabha or town council or urban council, submit the plan for approval. They will come and inspect the site and they give you the approval, rubber stamp approval plan approved. That even the plan is approved. They are giving you approval to commence the construction. Then you start constructing the building. While constructing the building, while the process is on, halfway, you decide to do some deviations. What are the deviations? You decide to shift the bathroom to the other side, bedroom to this side. So that's a deviation. In your original plan, you have told this one, approval is given accordingly. But after building the house only, you find, bathroom you feel it is better, and you are making some deviations. Then you proceed. After completing the construction, you are to get the COC. We call it COC. That means Certificate of Conformity. Then the technical officer of the Pradesh Municipal Council will come and inspect the property. That means, why is he inspecting? After the completion of the building, he is inspecting to ascertain whether the building has been completed in accordance with the original building plan. He comes and inspects. By inspecting, he finds there's a deviation. He will not give the certificate of conformity. Certificate of conformity is a document which the bank requires, which you require, which authorizes you to legally occupy the house. It confirms the building has been constructed in accordance with the approved building plan. That is what is called COC. So when you are getting the valuation report, the valuer has to confirm the building has been constructed in accordance with the approved building plan, and the COC is available. So you as a banker, you have to ask for the building approval and the COC certificate. COC is the document which will confirm the building has been constructed in accordance with the approved building plan and there is no deviation. Supposing you may come across situation, sometimes customer is not in a position to submit the building plan, or he is not in a position to submit the COC. He says, I have the building plan, but COC I don't have. Then you can't take that building value into consideration. You have to remove the building value from the valuer's valuation, and you can take only the land value. Why? This is an unauthorized building. I'll show you one or two slides. It's an unauthorized building. Why unauthorized? Because building approval is there, but COC is not there. The occupancy of the building and the status of such occupancy should be ascertained. If there's a lease, a deed of postponement should be executed. Whenever we are taking immovable property as security, we must always find out who is occupying the building, what is their legal status, whether there is a lease agreement. If there's a lease agreement, we take a deed of postponement. That means the tenant gives the priority to the bank, saying that our mortgage will take priority in case of an eventuality. So always when we are taking immovable property as security, we always ascertain we always ascertain the legal status of the tenant. I'm not telling if there's a tenant you can't take it. You can take it, but we have to ascertain the legal tenant, because in case if we have to sell the property, nobody will buy the property with the tenant. So we have to find out the legal status of the tenant. If they are a tenant, we ask the tenant how long he has been staying here, whether there's a legally executed lease agreement, or if the tenant says, no, I am here for the last 25 years, will you take such a property? No, you won't take it. So we have to find out who are the people who are occupying, what is their legal status. If there's a lease, a deed of postponement should be executed. Then any adverse comments should be deeply examined and action taken. Sometimes the valuer would have made certain comments. He would have said this property is not maintained properly. It has not been color washed for the last so many years. Chemicals have been stored in one of their rooms. So like that, some adverse comments, you have to take action. The property should be inspected annually to ensure there is no variance in the status. Now, finally, the valuer will give 3 values. There was a question on this also. There was a question on this. Final assessment of value. In the valuation report, last page, valuer will give you 3 values: market value, for sale value, insurance value. What is the market value? Market value will say 20 million. Value will say market value is 20 million. What is the for sale value? Now, say for instance, as a simple example, if somebody asks me, what is the value of your car? What is the market value of your car? I will tell them 4.5 million, because that is the amount I expended in importing this vehicle. It has cost me 4.5 million. So I say market value is 4.5 million, because when I imported the car, I have spent close upon 4.3 or 4.4. So the market value is that. But I know very well, I can't sell my car for that price. What is the for sale value? If I say 3.8 million, there will be 100 odd people willing to buy the car. That is what is defined as forced sale value, the value at which you could sell the property in case of an eventuality. Market value is different. Market value is completely different. You can say market value 25 million, but you can't get buyers. Forced sale value is 18 million. What is the insurance value? That is the value of the building, not the land. Remember, not the land. Value of the building. In case of a calamity, in case of a destruction, if the building is damaged, what is the amount I have to spend to rebuild the building? That is what is called insurance value. There may be a question on this. What is the value? What is the insurance value? The value which I have to expend to rebuild the building is classified, defined as insurance value. So remember, forced sale value, market value is the market value of the property. Forced sale value is the value at which I can sell the property without any difficulty. Insurance value is the value at which the value I have to expend, the amount I have to expend in case I have to rebuild the building. Now, out of these three values, what is the value you bankers will take? Can you tell me? What is the value bankers will take?
For sale value?
Yeah, forced sale value. Very good. We always go for the forced sale value. We always go for the forced sale value, but under exceptional circumstances. Under exceptional circumstances, you can recommend to the management to consider market value. Under exception, if you feel the value is on an increasing trend, you can make a case. You can tell the management in a credit appraisal, you can say, forced sale value is this, forced sale value is not enough. So we strongly recommend to take the market value because the value at this particular location is on an increasing trend. Exceptional circumstances, you can recommend the market value, but under normal procedure, normal stipulation, we always go for the forced sale value. Insurance value, the value to be expended in case the building has to be expended. If there's a property where you have only the land, insurance value, what is the insurance value? Insurance value will be nil. Now see, consequence of unauthorized building. Now why we are asking for the value approved building plan? Unauthorized shops in Bristol Street brought down. Unauthorized constructions to be removed. Now see, the Coast Conservation Department on Friday began dismantling illegal structures housing tourist restaurants and guest houses at Beersa Veligama following a presidential order after some tourists were attacked. Seen here are structures being razed to ground. Now you can see some tourists were attacked. There was a presidential order to remove the structure because all these structures were unauthorized. So if you are granted a loan to this particular tourist hotel against the mortgage over their property and the value of the building, your value would have come down to zero. You would have had only the land value. Now this is a recent case. Can you all tell me where this is? This is why I told you all read the newspapers. Can you all tell me where this is? Anyone? Huh?
Kandy. It's Kandy.
Yes, Kandy. Now see, there was a disaster in Kandy. The tragedy in Kandy. Reasons for collapse. NIBRO officials, after investigating the incident, said the soil layer was unable to bear the weight of the 5-storied building, which eventually resulted in the collapse of the building. The National Building Research Organization said the 5-storied building, which caved into a collapsed in Buavalikada, Kandy, was built blocking a valley path. Officials of the Geological and Mines Bureau confirmed the cause of the collapse was not due to a tremor. Senior professor of the University of Peradeniya stated the tragedy could have been averted if the foundation was based on the solid layer of rock below the surface. He stated the building was constructed in a manner in which the earth's surface cannot bear the weight of the building. Now you can see this tragedy. Now I wrote the papers. I don't have it here. Daily Mirror, it was published. I have said this tragedy could have been prevented if they have insisted on the COC. If the Kandy Municipal Council, they have just granted the approval to put up a 2-storied building. This man has gone and put up a 5-storied building. And when the local authority, when they are granting approval, they never follow up and get the COC. I wrote in the papers, it was published next week. I can show you that it was published in the Daily Mirror. So I have said the local authorities should have a mechanism to follow up and ensure the COC is obtained. What happens is they give the approval and thereafter they don't follow up and get the COC. So if they have followed it up with the COC, this tragedy could have been prevented. Here, approval was given for, that's what they say, 2-story building. Here, gone and put up a 5-story building. So this is the reason why we always insist on obtaining the building approval and the COC. So now 3 innocent lives were lost. Now, market value I explained. Final determination, market value, the current market value of the asset, insurance value, the value of the building, or the amount to be expended to rebuild in case of a damage. Forced sale value, the value on which the asset could be disposed of without any difficulty. What is the value which determines our security? Forced sale value. Now, now we are come to the end of the session. So now, how was the session today? Was it clear to you all?
Yes, sir.
Right. Yes. So now we will. I know you are very hungry, so we will conclude the session today. We have 3 more sessions to go. So next Sunday also we will meet at 8:30, and in the meantime you have the handouts. You can go through the handouts very, very carefully because the questions will be set from the handouts. And actually we miss our students because when we have the physical interaction, of course, we can show a lot of examples. We are handicapped with this. I thought at least this time we will be able to have the physical interaction. Unfortunately, because of the second wave, we are back to square one. So hope to see you all next Sunday at 8:30. Thank you very much. Thanks for your patience. Thank you.
Thank you,
Sir?
sir.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Sir,
Yes.
is there a difference between gold loan and pledge facilities?
Gold loan, yes. Gold loan and pledge facilities differ. Some gold loan and pledge loan, yes, there is a difference in the sense. Gold loan also, some banks are granting gold loans by taking the gold, and you know, it is something similar to pledge loan. Gold loan is also, they call it gold loan. It is something similar to pledge loan.
Is it a type of pledge facility?
Sorry?
Is it a type of pledge facility?
No, there's no time. No time. Only thing is the documents. Now, gold loan and pledge loan, there's a difference. Now, in a gold loan, the gold will be held under the custody of the bank. Am I correct?
Yes.
In a pledge, the assets will be held under the customers in the customer's warehouse. But only thing is bank has a control.
Yes.
Now, gold taker, we don't allow the customer to have the gold at his residence. No, we want we physically bring the gold and keep it in our vault. But pledge loan, of course, we take control of the vehicle or whatever. We take control. But we have now that Sumit, that case Sumit, which I explained to you all, wash basin. You know, he will have to. We'll have to carry out periodical inspections. Now, this microfinance is the way forward. Now, there are many customers, many people like that with innovative ideas. Now, take for instance, now, if I ask you a question, what is the age limit to obtain the 3-wheel license?
18.
Huh?
18.
18. Driving license, 18 or 25?
16.
16. Now, earlier government, they 3-wheel drivers, they increase the age limit to 35.
35.
They increase the age limit to 35. The reason is because, you know, I read somewhere there are about 33,000 3-wheel drivers who are graduates. Can you believe it? Degree holders. Degree holders, 33,000 or more than that, or 33%. I can't remember. Because the previous government, they increased the age limit to 35 and increased the duty also. The reason is some of the people, after getting qualified, they find an easy way. They go to a bank, take a lease facility to buy a 3-wheeler and operate the 3-wheeler. So therefore, it was not beneficial to the country. So to shut them off, only they increase the age limit to 35, but later it was reduced to the original. This thing, because some of the three-wheel people protested. So because they find an easy way, they open a catering business. They open a salon. They open a salon because it was not the country was not getting benefited. No.
Yes.
So that's why people like Sumit, this what do you call this? Which I explained to you all. Microfinance is the way forward. Any other questions?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
So,
We'll meet you next week. God bless you all. Stay safe.
Hello, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, miss. Yes.
When granting pledge facilities, do we need to take additional securities?
No. We don't take additional security. If some banks take a personal guarantee, they take, but personal guarantee is all useless. But the most important component is you have to ensure you take the insurance covering the goods. That is very important. Because you are taking the pledge document because anything would happen to the goods, no? So insurance is very important. Insurance is very important. Other than insurance, we don't take anything. Some banks, of course, some people may take a personal guarantee, but personal guarantee is all useless now. In my banking career, I have never come across a situation where we take a personal guarantee, customer defaults, you write to the personal guarantor, he comes and settles it. It has never happened. Am I correct? It has never happened. So because that now even banks are now not taking personal guarantee. It is only just a comfort.
Any other cash or PD check?
No. Pledge loan is if you give a pledge loan and if you have an effective controlling mechanism, you don't have to worry. What are the controlling mechanism? Periodical inspection, close supervision, most importantly, insurance, and adequate precautions have been taken by the bank to ensure there is no manipulation by the customer. Vehicles, of course, you take the smart key, you take the duplicate key, and other pledge loans, of course, you have to carry out periodical inspection. Close monitoring is very important.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much.